The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look at my soul. I've been afraid I would follow alone. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Welcome into a Friday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. If you're in the market for a brand new or slightly used automobile, before you make the commitment, and trust me when I tell you, kids, it is a financial commitment, a real large financial commitment, depending on how much money you're planning on spending for an automobile, but it is a commitment. And before you make that financial commitment, you owe it to yourself to go out to Austintown and check out the good folks at Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Been telling everyone this for months. They have a great sales department, a phenomenal finance department. And look, that's important because you don't want to pay an outrageous percentage of interest when you're purchasing a new or slightly used automobile. And even for those that have crappy credits, I'm not going to point at anyone, but, I'm just saying, past mistakes, failed marriage, a couple of other shit. Just saying, if you have bad credit and you don't want to pay a high interest, well, they have a great finance department, and they might prevent you from paying a high interest loan when you're, taking the money out to get this automobile. And when your automobile needs its oil changed or the tires rotated, or God forbid, knock on wood, you don't do this, but God forbid you run it into a ditch or a pole or get into an accident because some schlub blew a red light. I'm not saying that that's happened to me before. But if for some reason you need your car serviced or you need your car repaired, they get a phenomenal service department. So add it all up, it's a great car dealership, and you simply owe it to yourself to go to Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown before you make that financial commitment. All right, 330-886-0813, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, open for business. Basketball, and more basketball. First and foremost, here's our guest for today, Pat Birch, the very successful high school boys basketball coach at Boardman. He recently picked up his 100th career victory. Pat Birch will be calling in on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline at 1 o'clock. Boardman has an interesting game tonight as they take on Warren Harding. And don't think for a second that there's going to be some folks in the upcoming tournament that are going to be taking very large notice in this particular game. Now, keep in mind, voting is underway for the seeds and whatnot, and everything has to be all in place by Saturday. And then they'll tabulate the votes, tabulate the amount of points, and then on Sunday, they'll announce the seeds and then announce the tournament drawing and where everyone is going to be playing and the whole brackets and the whole 9 yards. And Anthony and I will be busier than a one-legged man in a butt-kicking contest on Monday, telling everyone which team has a really good chance based on the matchups, the whole 9 yards. But Pat Birch, his Boardman Spartans playing Warren Harding tonight. We'll get him on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline this afternoon at 1 o'clock. Dolph Carroll from Valley Christian, his team got a 4-point victory over United last night, 41-37. That ball game was down in Hanoverton. Valley Christian is now 6-2 in the EOAC, 7-3 overall. They have the Urban Scholars tonight in their place. This is a non-OHSAA sanctioned game, but it is a game that will count in the standings. And Dolph Carroll, the head basketball coach at Valley Christian, will be joining the program at 1:15. Keith Gunther from Ursuline will be chiming in on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline at 2 o'clock, and we'll talk some Ursuline Irish basketball with the head basketball coach at Ursuline, Keith Gunther. Last night, Anthony and I were talking a little bit about this yesterday, and it's a damn shame he's not here today to talk about this. You know, yesterday we made mention, before we get to Poland and South Range, which was undoubtedly the game of the night, I got to throw out and congratulate Boardman. In Boardman last night, the Spartans, and Anthony and I were talking a little bit about this. There's a Boardman team that is much improved, that is getting better and better with each game. They're taking on arguably one of the best Division II programs in this area, in the Salem Quakers. Boardman beat Salem last night by 1 point. And this further cements my thought that Boardman is going to be a really, really tough out in the D1 tournaments. It would not surprise me. I know Boardman has Boardman's seated in the 20s, but it would not surprise me if Boardman goes into the district tournament. Now, obviously, they have to beat two teams, one of which is the 5 seed, Canton McKinley, and that would be a very tall order. But it wouldn't surprise me if the Boardman girls did it. This team has been playing so much better in recent weeks. And I got to be honest, I think that this is one of those teams, you got a handful of teams in the tournament that I would not want to play in the first couple of rounds because they're going to be getting theirs. And I think Boardman is one of those teams. I'll tell you another team that's going to get theirs as well. And they haven't been on the floor that often this year, but I am telling you right now, if you're Division III, you better watch out for the East Palestine Bulldogs. This is a team, unfortunately, that went through all kinds of COVID issues. And they haven't played a whole lot of games. But when they have played basketball, they are a very impressive basketball team. Last night, now, Leetonia was coming off a game the night before, and, you know, they were playing a second consecutive game. But no excuse here. Palestine ran them off the floor, and they did so by holding Leetonia's two big scorers, Ella Gregorino and Taryn Ferry. Neither one of them were anywhere close to their average. Gregorino and Ferry scored a combined 13 points. Now, the good news for Leetonia, Megan Roscoe and Haley Brock, who are both very capable of getting hot, especially Haley Brock from the perimeter. They're both very capable of getting hot. They both scored 12 points apiece. Now, John Ritz, who's the head basketball coach at Leetonia, might look at this and wonder how this team is going to survive in the tournament if an opposing team were to hold down the sophomore guard, Ella Gregorino, and the senior guard / small forward, Taryn Ferry. Well, if you get some production from Roscoe and Brock, this team can still be very dangerous, but give all kinds of mad respect to East Palestine. After a tie in the first quarter, they simply wore down and buried Leetonia 59-46. And this is a basketball team, even though they've played 6 or 7 games this year, I would not want to play them in the D3 tournament. And We've been talking about this. Look, 15 games, you want to get somewhere around 15 games. But if you're in a situation like East Palestine, now they're 7 or 8 games, and I think it's closer to 7. They might have only played 6 games this year. You can look at this as an advantage as well. And here's what I mean by this. Even though you're not going to have nearly the reps, the game reps, as any team that you're playing this year, you can combat that by saying, well, we have fresh legs. Only played 6 games, 7 games all year long. We're going to have fresh legs. Now, the D3 tournament starts 12 days from now, and I'm sure that Palestine can probably pick up 3 more games and get them to 10 or 11. But they're still going to be the fresher team. Yeah, they're not going to have as much reps, but they're still going to be the fresher team. That's a team that I would not want to play in Division III. Palestine is going to they're going to stun some people. That's a very talented basketball team. It's a damn shame they didn't get an opportunity to play a full year because of COVID, and I think they would have certainly been a big time contender and probably won the EOAC. And they only have 1 loss in the EOAC this year. But they beat Letonia last night, 59-46. All right, game of the night last night was in Poland. It's round 1 of 2 between Poland and South Range. And Poland is D2, South Range is D3. Everyone knows this. Poland is one of the better teams in D2. South Range, arguably the best team around here in Division III. This was a game that suited Poland. It was a low-scoring game. It was a half-court game. It was a game that was dominated by the tempo that Poland likes, the slow, methodical, half-court type of basketball game. And South Range did have a lead at the end of the first quarter, and they were actually leading at halftime 16-14, and then Poland turned it on in the second half. They outscored South Range 31-19 in the second half. They get the 45-35 victory over South Range. Foul-fested game. Poland went to the line 31 times. Poland went to the line 31 times. South Range went to the line 22 times. So lots and lots and lots of fouls called in last night's game. Jackie Grisdale held to 14 points, but Mary Brandt, the freshman, she was able to jump on board with 10 points. So solid win for Poland. Izzy Lamparty, and it was so good to see Izzy playing some good basketball. She got 20 last night in the loss for the South Range Raiders. Lexi Giles had 10 points. So combined, these two scored all but 5 of South Range's points. Now, the good news for the Raiders, they get Poland next week at South Range. So it won't be too long before these two teams see each other on the basketball floor in their second meeting. And that should be a good meeting as South Range and Poland will play each other next week at South Range High School. We made mention Boardman getting a victory over Salem last night. Struthers knocked off Lakeview by 5. I was at the Crestview Newton Falls game. That was a defensive struggle as well. Lots and lots of good defense played in that particular game. The Rebels went to the line 25 times, hit 16 of their free throws. They knock off Newton Falls 37-27. Just a defensive-oriented game. Lots of turnovers. Both teams incorporated a 2-3 zone defense that was it was tough to penetrate. Very tough to penetrate. As a matter of fact, Newton Falls had a lead at halftime, and then in the second half, Crestview was able to get Ashton Hughes involved. She hit 3 baseline bombs from three-point range and scored 9 of her 10 points in the third quarter. And that propelled Crestview to a 13-0 run to begin the third quarter. Newton Falls wound up scoring the final 3 points in the third quarter, but by then, damage was already done. Rebels had a 9-point lead going into the fourth quarter. and then they outscored Newton Falls by 1 point to get the 10-point victory. Crestview will be playing Champion on Saturday afternoon at Crestview. All right, let's get to the phone lines, 330-886-0813. Vince, you're on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. What's up, brother?
The other day I came on your award-winning show, and I told you about the one horse we liked at Mahoning Valley, Valiant Vinny.
Yes.
And here's what happened.
Valiant Vinny's still there. He's drifting out severely. We'll see if Samurai Prince can take advantage. Valiant Vinny still has run, and he still has the front. Samurai Prince is inside second. Drunken Love is third. A furlong to go for Valiant Vinny. He's well clear here. And now the battle's for second between Samurai Prince and Drunken Love. No doubt about the winner. Valiant Vinny, gate to wire.
At 3-1.
Okay, did Drunken Love finish second? Because,
yes.
Nothing says Valiant Vinny quite like Drunken Love.
Well, for some of us who listen to what I said, I might not hit them all the time, but I do about like 59% in my picks. So.
Well, listen, and if you can box those, then you have yourself a nice little profit there.
Yes. Well, it's not as much as a profit as running last week. I know it's a sports show, but last week all the harangue was about that GameStop, buying it at a low price and then selling it for $200 or $300. We had a GameStop in our local area. Our new truck plant out at Lordstown, the electric car plant. Last year, someone we all know and love bought the stock at $1.31, and now it's at $41.50.
Oh, there you go. How much stock was bought?
Oh, I did conservative.
All right.
I only bought 200. I should have bought 2,000.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, you buy 2,000. Now you're talking serious money there.
Yeah. Well, we did a little taking a little profit out in October when the stock hit $23.50. We took a little profit out. You have to do that, Ronnie, when you're in this business. You gotta wet your beak a little bit when it's time when you're thirsty.
Well, yeah, but then you got to realize you got to pay some tax when you wet that beak
right.
as well. So you're not going to be getting as much as you need because when you play that stock market and you have some bucks coming in, you got to pay the toll to get off the freeway, if you will.
Well, we left a few shares. 100 shares or so. And how do you say it, Ronnie, in your business? We let it ride?
Yes.
We let it ride.
You let it ride, and the right number was thrown. Yeah, that's good. I mean, listen, playing the stock market is a lot like gambling. I mean, it pretty much is, Well,
one of my sources, they tipped me off on the stock. He said, we're going to be bigger than U.S. Steel.
Oh, Lord.
I thought for a minute. Yeah. That was like the quote from the Godfather.
Hey, hang on a second. Was your source a Jewish guy living in Miami?
We're not allowed to tell you at this moment where we get our information from. There's ethics involved.
Isn't that the guy that got killed at the airport at the end of Godfather 2?
Yes.
What a great ending in that movie, by the way.
And I know it's a sports show. We're digressing a little bit in the movie. Al Pacino said the only thing bad about Godfather 3, which was the worst of the three movies, he said they made it 12 years too late.
Yeah, they did.
They should have did Godfather 3 like 2 or 3 years, like they. From what I read about it, they made Godfather 2 and Godfather 1 basically at the same time.
Yeah, it was 2 years apart screen time, but they were pretty much in production on the second Godfather immediately after the release of the first one.
The first God, yeah.
Yeah, because they knew that Francis Ford Coppola knew he had one of the greatest movies in cinematic history on his hands. And it was screaming a second part.
Well, I think it's the only, if memory serves correct, maybe some of the other people out in the audience, Tough Tony from Holland, maybe could chime in if he's a movie buff. It's the only sequel to win an Academy Award. Godfather 2.
I want to say you're correct in that. Now, it's not the only sequel that was made more money than now. I don't think that the second one was as good as the first one.
I think it was the only sequel that won an Academy Award. I think.
Yeah, but you're right. I think it is this. It's the only sequel that actually did win an Academy Award. I believe you're right in that, and I believe Robert De Niro won Best Actor in that in the second one with his portrayal of the young Vito Corleone.
What a great movie. But I regress. Let's get back to the at hand. With the big game coming, are we allowed to say Super Bowl on your show?
Hey, listen, I don't have any FCC rules, so it is a Super Bowl,
right.
so that's what we're calling it.
Yeah. You know, and you know, at first, Ronnie, I was looking at it, and I thought Kansas City, but you know, you look at it, they have injury in their offensive line.
Yes.
And that's a big to-do. I mean, if they put a rush on them, and I know Mahone is quick and all that, but he hurt that foot, and the layoff really did him good to get his foot or toe healed, whatever. And is he 100%? I'd say he's about 80%. And you know, is he going to be able to escape the rush? If they rush this Mahone like they rushed the
Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Rodgers.
It was more like a statue. Mahomes not going to be a statue, but if they could I think this game is going to be closer than what I projected.
Vince, I will flat out say this right now, and I'm not doing this to jinx anybody, but I think Tampa Bay is going to win this game, and for the exact reason that you just mentioned. Listen, I don't think a lot of people are talking about what you're talking about nearly as much as they should. The Kansas City Chiefs are without their right and their left tackles. Tampa Bay has a very good pass rush, and they have very good defensive ends. The defensive ends are going to essentially be going up against backup tackles. Now, Mitchell Schwartz's replacement has been in the lineup for a number of weeks, so I don't know if you necessarily call him a backup, but he's nowhere near as talented as Mitchell Schwartz. Right. Now, Kansas City's without their left tackle. He was lost in the Buffalo game early in that game, which even bothers me more than I think about it, that Buffalo had zero pass rush, even when their left tackle was taken out of the ball game early in that game. It still bothers me, but I digress. Tampa Bay has a really good pass rush, and I really believe as long as somebody can set the edge on Mahomes, they're going to get Mahomes consistently. They'll pressure him. They'll force him to throw the ball early. I'm going to tell you right now, I love the under in this game, and I absolutely love Tampa Bay in this game. And not only plus the 3 points, if I had money, I would put Tampa Bay on the money line because I really think Tampa Bay is winning this game Sunday.
You and the national guy on the radio show on your former station that in the morning, he kind of leans that way to Tampa Bay with all the things that you said. At first I thought it was Kansas City in the over, and now I did bet the over in the game, but I haven't made a side bet yet. But if and the thing, surprisingly, locally, the line has stayed right at that 3.5, 3. It hasn't swayed that much from the opening line, and that tells you they're getting action both ways on this.
Yeah. Now, the weather is supposed to cooperate. They were saying that the weather was going to be stormy the whole day. Now, they're saying scattered thunderstorms early in the day. Skies will become mostly sunny later in the day, a high of 72 degrees. And then a few clouds during the evening, a low of 56. So there's only a 10% chance of rain on Sunday night. So it looks like it's going to be clear. So, having said that, the over-under in this game right now is 56. I still think if Tampa Bay gets to Mahomes and they're able to pressure Mahomes, Kansas City's not going to score very many points. And I don't think Tampa's going to score very many points because, honestly, I think that Leonard Fournette is going to play a huge role in this because they're going to want to play keep away with Kansas City. And Brady hasn't put up great numbers in the postseason. He's actually thrown some picks. So I think that Fournette is going to be a guy, if you were to make a side bet, take the over in how many yards Fournette's going to get rushing, because I think Leonard Fournette will get close to 100 yards rushing on Sunday night.
For your listeners out there, whenever favorites win, Las Vegas loses. When underdogs win, Las Vegas makes a killing because the how should I say it? The general public just sees, Kansas City's a favorite. Let's bet something on Kansas City. They don't know the ins and outs and who's hurt and who's not. They just go for the glorified, let's bet something on the game. We'll take the favorite. Well, when favorites win, Vegas loses. But when favorites lose, Vegas cleans up.
Yeah. This one is, dare I say this, Vince, this is a sucker bet.
Well, Ryan, you look down let's go in the past because you're able to look back. The national championship collegiate game, Alabama and the team from Columbus, the favorite dominated. If you look back in the World Series, the favorite won.
Yes.
If you look back in
the NBA Finals, the favorite won.
The favorite won
Yeah.
handily.
Yes.
And will it be a clean sweep at the? I forget who was favored in the hockey, but I don't follow hockey, so it's just I'm looking at it. The other big three that came in, and it just seemed like it was, the favorite team carried the day. We'll put it that way.
Yeah. No, I really like Tampa in this game, and plus, Tom Brady made a deal with Satan, so he's going to get his 7th Super Bowl title. I mean, you got to be honest. I mean, he's married to a gorgeous woman that makes probably 15 times more money than he makes. He still has it at 42, 43, wherever the hell old he is. He's made a deal with Satan. I mean, let's be honest here.
Now, Ronnie, did he take a pay cut so he could stock Tampa Bay with players? I mean, some of the Rodgers makes what, $31 million a year, or something like that.
Somewhere in that vicinity, yeah.
Big Ben makes what, 28 to 31?
Somewhere around there, and he's scheduled to make $40 million unless they restructure his contract in 2021.
It's like hitting the lotto. I mean, and I'm assuming that Brady took a little cut in pay. Whatever he was making, he obviously one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league pay wise, wouldn't you say?
Brady?
Yeah.
No, hell no. He's nowhere close.
He's nowhere close.
Yeah, he's nowhere close. Yeah, he's nowhere close.
Is he between 20 and 30?
I would say he's probably on the lower end of 20, if that.
Wow.
Yeah, but no. I mean, look. I mean, it's you gotta. I mean, let's be honest for a second. Tom Brady came off a really bad year in New England prior to him going to Tampa. So, I mean, he signs a 2-year deal, and he gets signed for enough money where Tampa Bay could surround him with some decent talent. And
what was he making at New England during the heyday of Belichick and him?
He wasn't a top-paid quarterback.
He wasn't in the 20s?
I think he was in the 20s, but he wasn't a top-paid quarterback, mainly because you're going to get talent around him, and he's able to go out and win some Super Bowls. He didn't swallow up a quarter or a third of the cap. So the genius of Belichick and the Patriots was, okay, we're not going to surround him with superstars, but you don't need any superstars with Brady. That was what made New England so great. They didn't have the only time Tom Brady had a legitimate superstar, they didn't win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it was with the Moss, the 15-0
Yeah.
year.
Well,
They said, I read it or I heard it one of the programs. They said, this is the best receiving core he had since the Moss, Randy Moss year, and I think Randy was only there 1 or 2 years.
yeah, he was there 2 years. So it's just this has definitely been a fun year. Now, he hasn't carried this team. It's the defense has carried this team. But when Brady when you're calling on this guy to get the job done, he's gotten the job done. But for the most part, it hasn't been pretty. I mean, he has thrown his share of interceptions, especially I should say, in this postseason. But listen, when the chips are on the table, he's still Tom Brady.
Now memory serves, it's all cloudy. Does Randy Moss have a Super Bowl ring, or is he in the Dan Marino category? Great all pro and all Hall of Famer, but he doesn't have a Super Bowl.
Honestly, I'd have to look.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody in the audience could chime in.
I think in one of the 2 years they did win a Super Bowl, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I'd have to look, but. I mean, clearly he's one of the 4 or 5 greatest receivers to ever play the game, at least in the Super Bowl era. I mean, football is so hard to compare numbers because, somebody said this morning when I was listening to a show on the way in from work, and they are spot on with this. You can't compare a quarterback pre-1990 to a quarterback of today simply because it was a different era. It was a different style of football. I'll throw out a number. Terry Bradshaw is a great example. Bradshaw's numbers, if you look at his percentage completion, his touchdown passes to interceptions, they're pedestrian. I mean, in today's game, they're pedestrian. He didn't even complete 55% of his passes. And he has, I want to say, 20 or 25 more touchdown passes than he does interceptions. He threw a lot of interceptions back in his day.
Well, doesn't Joe Namath have the vice versa? He has more.
Yeah, Namath has more interceptions than he does touchdowns. Now, a lot of people will look at this and go, well, how the hell is he in the Hall of Fame? Well, 2 reasons. Number one, Super Bowl III. That's number one. And number two, he was a great quarterback during that era. During that era, he was a phenomenal quarterback. It's just, during that era, you didn't have guys throw the ball all that much. I mean, there's Vince, and I know you remember this. There were games
more of a running game.
Yeah, absolutely. There were games in the early 70s, championship games that were played where the quarterback threw 14 to 19 passes in the entire game. I mean, it was a completely different game back then. That's why, for me, when you look at a guy like Johnny Unitas, who is, in my opinion, the greatest quarterback to ever play the game, if you look at his numbers and what Johnny Unitas did in a run-oriented game, and he was able to throw for over 40,000 yards. He was able to have a touchdown pass in, 40-some-odd consecutive games. Back then, I mean, that's an amazing statistic. And I think he got 3 or 4 NFL championships, and he lost 2 or 3 championships.
Playoffs.
Super Bowl III comes to mind, and they did win Super Bowl V.
Then.
Yeah, and he was also. Oh, by the way, he was also playing in the '60s when the Green Bay Packers were dominating the National Football League.
League, 11 titles or whatever it was, 7 titles in 11 years. But the other thing too, here's a trivia question, and I'll leave after this. Who was Joe Montana and Joe Namath's heroes growing up in Western Pennsylvania?
Oh, Johnny Unitas.
Who did they try to? John, and the second part of it, what numbers did they wear in high school, in junior high and high school?
19.
19.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah. No, Joe Namath in high school at Beaver Falls High School.
They called him.
Yeah.
They called him Joey U.
Yep.
Because he was John Unitas. You know that Namath only played his senior year at quarterback? He did all those great things in 1 year of high school football.
Yeah. It's It's amazing. He was recruited heavily by Alabama, and obviously he went down to Alabama to play his college football.
Well, he first went to Maryland, and he couldn't get in. The academics were too high, and then he somehow matriculated down. No, he didn't matriculate. Bear Bryant, if you saw that story about it, he sent Snellenberger. He said, "Don't come back unless you bring Namath with you." He said, "Keep on going if you don't bring this kid back." He brought him back down there, and he was one of the few guys. Imagine this, at practice when he came down to visit. They were doing spring ball, and he come down, and he went up in the tower, and nobody, no recruit, at that time went up in the tower with Bear Bryant when he was up in the tower, and when Namath was telling the story, he was going. He couldn't understand because of the southern drawl. And the only thing he understood was said, "That boy over there is a stud. That boy is a stud." But Joe knew what stud meant, but he didn't know what all the other things he was trying to talk to him about.
Yeah, Bear Bryant sounded an awful lot like Boomhauer on King of the Hill. Yeah.
All right, Ronnie, nice talking to you, bud.
See you.
And good luck to everybody.
I appreciate it. Let me put a bow on the conversation by saying this. I think a lot of people don't realize had Joe Namath not severely hurt his knee in college, Namath might have put up ridiculous numbers. I mean, look, he was a great quarterback, and obviously he's in the Hall of Fame for a reason. But he would have put up ridiculous numbers had he not severely injured himself in college. Guy was, he was unbelievable. But again, it's so hard to compare quarterbacks from way back prior to the AFC and the NFC, prior to the Super Bowl era, to the quarterbacks of the 70s and 80s, to the quarterbacks of today. I mean, the game has changed so much. Today's game, 1,000-yard rushers are very few because you don't run the ball all that much. There's nowhere near as many 1,000-yard rushers, 1,000-yard running backs in today's game as there was back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. You ran the ball. It was 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Now it's throw, and throw some more, and the running back is kind of obsolete. Now you use the running back in the playoffs, because you still gotta have that running attack. You still gotta have that threat. Which, as a Bills fan, that was something the Bills didn't have, hence the reason why they're not playing on Sunday. That and a pass rush, which hopefully they'll be able to get at some point. Otherwise, you're still going to be stuck falling short in your conference. You got to have a pass rush. You got to have a running attack, and you have to have an all-world quarterback. Well, the Bills got 1 out of 3. And, and you got to have a defense. It is what it is. All right, 330-886-0813, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, open for business. With you till 3 o'clock. On the show today, Pat Birch, the head basketball coach at Boardman. He'll join the show on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline at 1 o'clock. Boardman is in action tonight. The Spartans are going to be playing the Harding Raiders. Warren Harding coming into Boardman tonight to play the Spartans. This should be an entertaining game. And don't think for a second there are teams in Division I that aren't going to be paying attention to the final score coming out of Boardman tonight. Keep in mind this weekend, and you're already starting the voting process of voting your teams in each district from top to bottom. And I'm sure that there are some coaches in D1 that are hanging on to their ballots, and they'll finish it late tonight and into tomorrow because they want to see what transpires from Boardman tonight between Harding and Boardman. Dolph Carroll from Valley Christian will be calling in on the show at 1:15. as Valley Christian they're actually off tonight. I thought the Youngstown Scholars were playing Valley Christian. They're not. They're playing Heartland Christian. My apologies. So Valley Christian is off tonight. They are not playing. I don't believe they're playing a game tonight. And Keith Gunther will be calling in on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline at 2 o'clock. And we'll hear from the head basketball coach at Ursuline. Keith Gunther will be calling in at 2 o'clock today on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. All right, we'll take a timeout. By the way, Ursuline is home tonight to Massillon, Washington. That's a D1 team taking on a D2 program. Be curious to see what happens there. By the way, Valley Christian is playing tonight. They're at home taking on Wellsville. They're at home taking on Wellsville. So Valley Christian is playing tonight. All right, 330-886-0813. We'll take a timeout, be back with more. It is a Friday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Hi, this is Jim Myers with Myers Family Insurance, your local Medicare and retirement resource. We're excited to have sports back. Whether you're on the field or cheering from the stands, sports unifies communities and brings hope for the future. We're all one team working together. At Myers Family Insurance, we know the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Welcome back to a Friday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Cardinal Mooney, the boys, getting a victory over Howland last night in Youngstown, 52-32. Cardinal Mooney, a D3 program in boys basketball. Now, Mooney and Ursuline are interesting in that Ursuline is a D2 program in boys ball, and Mooney is a D3 program in boys ball. However, in girls basketball, Ursuline is D3 and Cardinal Mooney is D2. So they flip-flop when you go from boys to girls basketball. Cardinal Mooney started out the season 8-2, and then they went into COVID shutdown in mid-January. I think it was for 2 weeks, somewhere around the middle to the end of January. And Mooney had not looked good since coming out of their quarantine. I think they've 1-2 in their last 3 games, and I know they had to play Ursuline just out of quarantine, which that's a recipe for disaster. You play Ursuline just coming out of quarantine. That's just a recipe for disaster. But they got Michael Pellini back last night, and Cardinal Mooney was able to get a victory over Howland, 52-32. I'm going to be real curious to see when the tournament selection is made. I am going to be really curious to see where Cardinal Mooney is, where they're seated, and what kind of a path they are going to have in Division III. Because I still believe if they can get healthy and get on a roll, and you're probably going to be starting your tournament somewhere in the vicinity of the 22nd. So you're probably looking at 2 weeks of regular season basketball to be played. 2 weeks from tonight, 2 weeks from Saturday will probably be the last of the games. And then you'll go into the tournament. You should be able to get 5 or 6 games. You should be able to get 5 or 6 games. And again, I think Cardinal Mooney is going to be a under-the-radar team that I would not want to play if you're a Division III school. I mean, let's face it, Mooney does not play a Division III caliber schedule. A lot like South Range, and South Range being in the Northeast 8, you're taking on a bunch of teams that are considered to be Division II. Lakeview is D2. Hubbard is D2. Girard is D2. Niles is D2. Struthers is D2. Only Jefferson and South Range are D3 in this conference. So, 6 of the 8 teams are D2. So, in a regular season, you're playing at least 12 games, one division higher. And that's just in your league. Cardinal Mooney is the same way. And you got to remember, East is a D2, Cheney's a D2, Ursuline is a D2. They play Boardman, that's D1. They play Harding, that's D1. They've been known to play Fitch, that's D1. Howland is D2. Canfield is D2. Not that they play Canfield, although that would sell out both gyms if they did. I'm just, I'd kind of like to see it. I'm just saying, kind of like to see it. I understand why we don't see it, but I'd kind of like to see it. But, it's Mooney. Mooney doesn't play a typical D3 schedule. Now, no disrespect to anyone in the gray tier of the Mahoning Valley Athletic Conference. I think it's a great conference. But if you look at the conference, Brookfield, they're D3. LeBray, D3. Newton Falls, D3. Camel, D3. Liberty, D3. Crestview, D3. There are no D2 teams in the MVAC gray tier. Mainly all Division III, maybe one Division IV team, and then in the Scarlet tier, mainly Division IV. A couple of teams are D3. It's a D3 D4 type of conference. If you put both the gray and the Scarlet tier together, fantastic conference. But you're not scheduling up in your league. And I'm not saying that you should. I'm just saying that you're not scheduling up in your league simply because there are no teams in your league that are one division higher than you are. Now, the EOAC, you got some D4 programs. I believe Lisbon's D4, Leetonia's D4, Wellsville is D4, and I believe Southern this year is D4. Columbiana's D3. United is D3. Palestine is D3. And Valley Christian, Leetonia, Wellsville, Lisbon, and Southern are D4. Columbiana, Palestine, and United are D3. Lisbon, Leetonia, Valley, Wellsville, and Southern. Yeah, Lisbon, Leetonia, Wellsville, United. Lisbon, Leetonia, Wellsville, Southern, and Valley Christian are D4. United, Palestine, and Columbiana are D3. Yeah, that's right. So the 5 teams are, in a perfect world, you're playing 6 games against teams 1 division up. And then whatever you schedule in your off season. South Range, you got 6 teams that are D2 in your Northeast 8. And the only team that isn't D2, that's D3, the only 2 teams, South Range and Jefferson. So South Range and Jefferson are playing 12. Over half of their season, they're playing games against teams 1 division up. So they don't necessarily have to schedule any games against any more teams that are Division 2 or Division 1, although, I mean, if you're really good, you should be able to do that. Mooney is the same way. Mooney doesn't have a typical schedule. I mean, the 3 teams that are encompassing the Steel Valley Conference, although I like to call it the City Series, that's old school. But East, Cheney, and Ursuline are all D2. So that's, in a perfect world, that's 6 games where you're going to be playing D2 competition. Boardman plays Mooney twice, so there's 2 games in Division 1. Mooney likes to play Harding. As you put them on their schedule once or twice, there's another D1 team. So Mooney's going to be they're going to be hard to deal with in Division 3. And now that Pelini is back, and they just got him back, he played last night, limited minutes, but he played last night, and they wound up beating Howland 52-32. This Mooney team is going to be really tough to play in the tournament. And I've made mention on the boys and the girls side, and we know who the girls are playing because the tournament draw was last weekend, and Anthony and I went through the tournaments on Monday, and we'll go through the boys tournament on Monday as well. I'm looking forward to seeing who has favorable matchups. And I'm convinced that coaches are going to be hanging on to their ballot until at least late tonight and then fill it out tomorrow and turn it in tomorrow. And then Sunday, everything gets counted. And then you'll have the seeds 1 to whatever amount of teams, 24, 25, 26. And then they'll start bracketing everyone, and then we'll have the pairings, and this will be fun. This will be an awful lot of fun. But there's a number of teams with the boys that I think can be a dark horse, just depending on who they're drawing in the first round and where they're seated. And I'll be real curious to see where Cardinal Mooney is seated in this. I'll be really curious because they started out the year 8-2. And then they started getting into quarantine, and after quarantine, they lost 2 out of 3. Last night they beat Howland. So what are they now? 10-5, 10-4, 10-5, somewhere around there. I'll be curious to see where they wind up. All right, we're going to take a time out. On the other side, we will hear from the head basketball coach of the Boardman Spartans, Pat Birch. His team has an interesting affair tonight in Boardman. Warren Harding comes a-calling. Now, this is a team I'm going to be really interested, both of these teams actually. I'm going to be really interested to see where Boardman and where Harding is in this ridiculously talented D1 tournament of theirs. Again, Boardman they've had a nice year. They've had a really nice year. Now, they've lost a couple of close games, but Boardman has had a really, really nice year. Harding has had a year that a lot of people would like to never experience again, and it started with, the Trumbull County Health Board shutting down basketball in the month of December for all the Trumbull County schools. So Harding has not played a whole lot of games. Now, as we mentioned, you got 2 weeks. 2 weeks from tomorrow should be the end of the regular season. I'll be very curious to see how many games Warren Harding can get in these final 2 games. I'll be very curious to see that. And come Sunday, and when we talk about it on Monday, I'm going to be really curious to see where these two teams are going to be rated amongst the 29, 30 teams in the district. I'm going to be very curious to see where the coaches put Boardman as well as Warren Harding. I can't imagine Harding being seated lower than 20, although it could very well be done. I'll say this. If they're seated lower than 20, Warren Harding is going to surprise a bunch of people. And I will continue to say there are going to be some coaches, a lot of coaches that are going to have a long, hard look at tonight's game in Boardman. Because tonight's game in Boardman, it's going to go a long ways to determine where Boardman is and where Harding is come Sunday when they announce the seeds from top to bottom and then start filling in the bracket. All right, we'll hear from Pat Birch at the top of the hour. Dolph Carroll, the head basketball coach at Valley Christian, they host Wellsville tonight. He'll join the show at 1:15. Keith Gunther from Ursuline, he'll be calling in at 2 o'clock. We'll take a timeout, be back with more. It's a Friday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown.
Baird Brothers remains your source for fine hardwood products. For the time being, we're open for customer pickup only on weekdays, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Saturday from 9 a.m. till noon. Place your order online at BairdBrothers.com. Baird Brothers, for the place you love.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
The 4M Company, being an architect and construction manager for over 40 years, has had the opportunity to use many different electrical businesses for our projects. The depth, quality, and knowledge and attention to detail displayed by Dickey Electric makes them stand out above all the rest.
For state-of-the-art expertise and a timeless commitment to our customers, contact Joe Dickey Electric. We are everything electrical.
I went to Greenwood Chevrolet because I was really interested in looking at the tracks.
Because I wanted my dream truck.
Because I've been going there for 20 years. I think whenever we go there, whatever car we're looking for, they have tremendous inventory.
If you're looking for people who care about you, Greenwood is the place to go.
You know, it's like family there. The girls know me in service. It's Miss Kim in the Tahoe.
I'm really happy that I went
to Greenwood Chevrolet.
Because they really went
the extra mile for me.
Now we're going the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Local teams are heating up the hardwoods, and you can keep up with all the action on and off the court with Five Guys Hoop News all season long on 21 Sports.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
News doesn't stop after the sun goes down. Sometimes you just have to hustle to get it. At 21 News, no matter how far it is, no matter what it takes to get there, we're working to bring you the best stories and the freshest content at 11 p.m. with the context and clarity that makes it worth staying up for, no matter what time it is. 21 News at 11 with me, Erin Simonek, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 11, news that's worth your time.
Welcome back to a Friday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. The MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business, 330-886-0813. That's 330-886-0813. Awaiting the head basketball coach of the Boardman Spartans, Pat Birch. We made mention this earlier in the week. Let me run down the list of teams that are in the district tournament again for this crazy supersized district tournament. Fitch, Boardman, and Harding are going to be in this lengthy tournament that also features Alliance, Akron-Hoban, Aurora, Brush, Canton-McKinley, Cuyahoga Falls, Dover, Akron-Ellett, Euclid, Canton-Glen Oak, Greene, Ashtabula-Harvey, North Canton-Hoover, Hudson, Massillon-Jackson, Akron-Kenmore-Garfield, Kenston, Lake, Lakeside, Madison, Mayfield, Menor, Nordonia, Akron North, East Lake North, Massillon Perry, Riverside, Solon, Willoughby South, Stowe Monroe Falls, Theodore Roosevelt, University School, which is in the suburbs of Cleveland, Walsh Jesuit, and Massillon, Washington. Good God, is that an unbelievable district breakdown? And to talk a little bit about that, as well as his very successful team at Boardman, we bring in the head basketball coach of the Boardman Spartans, Pat Birch. Coach, how are you today, sir? Coach Birch, how are you? Yeah, all right. Well, we lost him. All right, hopefully he will call back. 330-886-0813, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, open for business. Thought we had Coach Birch on. Apparently that didn't work out. All right. Hopefully he's going to give us a call back so we can talk Boardman Spartans basketball. Again, tonight, Spartans taking on the Warren Harding Raiders in Boardman. And, okay, now I believe we have him on. The head basketball coach of the Boardman Spartans, Pat Birch. Coach, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. First and foremost, congratulations, albeit a week or two late, on getting career win number 100. Now you got to go another 400 wins so you can catch Grisdale, okay?
Yeah, I don't know if I have that many years left. Thank you, though. I appreciate it.
Listen, we just went through the long list of teams that are going to be in the Division I district. Impressive is the first of many superlatives to talk about this district that you and Fitch and Harding are all going to be involved in.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, I think we're up 37 teams, and you look at like the top 20, and there's a lot of really good basketball teams up there. I mean, the top 6 or 9 teams are all got a chance to really make a run in the tournament. So it's going to be a meat grinder.
Coach, do you think that there's a lot of coaches that are holding off on their voting and waiting until tonight's result since you guys have Harding? I mean, Harding hasn't played very many games this year, so I think there's going to be a lot of coaches. One would think there's going to be a lot of coaches that are wondering, okay, what's this Harding team all about? And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of coaches that are holding on to their vote, wondering what you do with Harding before they determine where to put Boardman in this.
Yeah, I think it's definitely wise of people to wait until as long as they can. There's a lot of important games up and down the district tonight that I think merit waiting one more day and waiting till tomorrow morning and kind of letting the dust settle. You mentioned us and Harding playing, but then even at the probably the top end this year, you have Massillon Jackson and Ken McKinley squaring off again tonight, which I think will have some implications on tournament seeding. So I think it's always wise to give it one more day and see where everything is after tonight. Well,
Keith Gunther and the Irish are going to be taking on Massillon, Washington, so that'll be an interesting matchup as well. I'm sure people are going to be interested in that game.
Yeah, absolutely. So we played Washington a couple weeks ago and lost a heartbreaker in overtime to them. 6-point lead we saw disappear in the last 30 seconds. Tough one to take. Not quite over it yet, but it'll be interesting to see. They're playing good basketball, and Ursuline's starting to play good basketball too right now. So that'll be a good game for those guys.
Coach, how bizarre has this season been? All things being equal, I mean, the fact you have to wear a mask during the course of the game, you got to wear a mask during practice. Hard to communicate with the players. You don't know if your team is going to be playing basketball because you don't know if a COVID outbreak affects your team or the team that you're playing. How bizarre has this year been?
Honestly, it's hard to put into words. I feel like there's just a different element of kind of mental stress that's put on everyone this year, and it's just the unknown. You know, it's hard enough to go through a season when you know exactly what your week's going to look like and who you're going to play and what your schedule is going to unfold like. And then this year, I mean, things are changing daily, and everyone's going through it. I feel like everyone's in that same just kind of mental fatigue right now of like you're just constantly adjusting your mindset in terms of who you're playing and when you're playing. And man, I was literally the other day, I'm going through getting the scouting report ready for Fitch, going through film, and I get a call, hey, we're not playing Fitch. It's like, okay, now I'm right in the practice mode and trying to figure out a practice plan for that day. And it wears on you, and we've been lucky, knock on wood, we've been able to play most of our games. And you look at some of these other teams, they've played a handful of games. So it's just a bizarre year, and one that I think everyone's going to be ready to move on from once it's all said and done.
I made mention in the first hour, for weeks I have been saying if you can get a minimum amount of games, minimum being 15, you should be ready to go come tournament time. And then it occurred to me, even if you get 10 to 15 games in, the argument that you can counter by saying, oh, if I only have 10 or 11 games, well, we don't have as much reps as the team that played a full season. However, the counter argument is our legs are fresher, so we might be more dangerous than you depending on the style of offense that we want to play on that given night.
Yeah, and we saw that argument in college football playoffs this year with people saying Ohio State has the advantage. I think at our level, I think the reps are more important. With high school sports in general, I mean that time in practice, and every coach would say it, that you're a much better team at the end of the year than you are at the beginning. So I think it depends too on when those 10 or 15 games happen. Did you miss 2 weeks in the beginning of the year or 2 weeks at the end of the year? Depending on how sharp you're going to be going into the tournament. High school basketball is a 32-minute game, so it's pretty quick to begin with, and we don't have that physicality of football. We're getting beat up every night. So I can see that argument holding some weight, I think, with maybe some other sports or other levels. But in high school, for me, it's about the reps, and the game repetition is so important for teams.
Coach, are you going to be able to get your 22 games in?
Right now we have 21, and we've kind of held off on scheduling 22 right now because a couple of those of our remaining games are still in conference games, and we want to have a little bit of wiggle room, if something were to happen, which we've already adjusted those games as is. So as it stands right now, we would finish with 21, which all things considering I'm pretty happy with. If something comes up within that last week and we got a chance to maybe play one more, depending on what our tournament draw is, I think that's something we'll look at. Again, I think trying to get by week now and get our conference schedule finished and really start focusing on the tournament.
Assuming you can get that last game in, would you prefer a game against a team that's going to be in your bracket?
Yeah, it depends, and I guess probably who that team is. And have you played already? Would this be maybe your third time playing? Or, if it's your second, okay, it'd be a good measuring stick for how you played against them the first time around. I know in our district, Hoover and Madison, Washington come to mind where we had two really good games against them, and we ended up on the short end of those. But it'd be interesting to play those two teams again, just kind of see how we measured up a few weeks later. I really think it's just a case-by-case basis in terms of who it is.
Boardman head basketball coach Pat Birch joining me on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Last year, you guys made a district run, was knocked off by Canton McKinley. That off season, once the loss happened to Canton McKinley, were there some kids playing basketball this year? Did they all get together and say, "Hey, let's amp up our activities in the off season"? And how productive was that off season for you guys going into this COVID year?
Well, one, it was different. Everyone went through that with no summer leagues and no shootouts on the weekend, which is such a crucial part of any off season. But our guys did a good job of buying into what we were able to put together in terms of conditioning and weightlifting and getting into the gym. We had some of the restrictions lifted for what we can do as coaches in terms of teaching and coaching. So we tried more from a mental aspect of getting these guys ready, heading into next year, where we knew physically, okay, that's going to be more of a work in progress because you missed some of that summer league activity. But we knew, despite graduating some really good guys, that there's talent. Just a matter of putting that talent together. And we've definitely had some growing pains. Anytime you replace 9 seniors, I think that's going to happen. But I'm proud of our guys for buying in and being coachable. They were willing to get coached this year, which was such a big deal with high school kids. And they bought into it, and I think we're playing pretty good basketball right now. So, we'll see how these last few weeks go.
Coach, talk about that senior class of yours that is the engine that's driving Spartans basketball.
Great kids, really good kids. It all starts with Ethan Anderson, our 3-year starter, who his impact on the game, I think, is far more than what you see statistically. He's scoring about 13 points a game. I think he grabs about 7 or 8 rebounds, a couple block shots. But it's really his presence that makes our team go on both ends of the floor. I mean, he challenges so many shots around the rim, and that really is such a crucial element of our defense. And offensively, he's been getting double, triple teamed. He gets banged down there, gets teams in foul trouble, and even if he isn't putting up 20 points a game, he contributes a lot. And outside of him, we just have really good kids that have been through the program and have been good leaders for us. I can't say enough about those guys.
Where do you expect your team to be when the drawing is announced? Do you expect your team to be seated in the top 10, Coach?
I think top 10 would be great. I think I could see us anywhere between 9 and 12, just depending on how some of the votes fall. You look, it's such an imperfect science this year looking at that seeding, just because the difference in number of games, strength of schedule plays into it, and some teams, have a far harder track than some others do. So I think where we could merit anywhere between 9 and 12 would be a great fit for us. I'd be a little disappointed if we fell out of the top 12 because that would mean we wouldn't be a top 4 seed in one of the brackets this year. So, but who knows? Who knows how teams are going to vote.
Coach, you're taking on Warren Harding tonight, and we made mention of this. The month of December, the entire Trumbull County was shut down courtesy of the health board. And a lot of those teams didn't have any basketball games under their belt. Harding has played a handful of games, but you get the feeling that sooner or later they're going to start rounding into shape because there's so much talent up there.
Yeah, we saw that a little bit last week. We actually played them last Friday, and I told our guys this is such a dangerous team because there's individual talent. They have 3 or 4 guys that have played the last couple of years, so they have some experience. There's some younger guys playing now that are talented, and like you said, it's only a matter of time where they're going to put one together. We obviously hope that isn't tonight. I think we played pretty well against them last Friday, and they did some good stuff against us too that we definitely learned from. And it's a scary team. Coach Franklin's doing a good job in year 2. He's putting his system in. He's instilling, I think, some core values there that you can see he's sticking to, which is, I think, very admirable for a guy in his second year that he's going to do it the right way, and that's going to really pay off for him.
Coach, before we let you go, and we're speaking with Pat Birch, the head basketball coach at Boardman on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. In a normal season, the Spartans Gymnasium is rocking. You got a large student section there. The place is phenomenal to see a game anyway. And as a member of the media, you got the Crow's Nest up top, which is really, really special. This has been anything but normal. Nowhere near sellout crowds, nowhere near a average crowd. What has it been like to play in a practically empty gymnasium?
I think go back to what you said earlier, just bizarre, just different. It keeps thinking how many games this year that we would have and would have coming up here where it would have been max capacity, people on top of each other, so much energy in the gym. And I think back to the last couple of years where we've had multiple games where it just was electric, and you could feel the energy, you could feel it before the JV game, and then that just carried over. I mean, our game last year against Cheney was just unbelievable. Our tournament game was just the hair on the back of your neck stood up at times. There was so much energy in there. Now this year, kind of like it's almost like a glorified scrimmage at times. Everyone's going through it, though, and you just have to make the adjustment. You know, we've really tried to sell to our guys that you got to bring your own energy. Our bench has to be our biggest cheerleaders just to get guys going, and our guys have done a really good job of that, of being there for each other. I think we saw that, like with the NBA bubble this summer, you're watching professional athletes, you know, whooping it up and cheering it. It's like, if those guys can do it in Orlando, we could do it as high school kids, and our guys have done that, so it's definitely helped.
Yeah, that, and you have to be mentally strong. If you're not mentally strong,
absolutely.
you'll get bounced early.
Yeah, you have to, and that's it. I mean, we're kind of used to it now at this point because we've played, 12 or 14 games, and I think you just kind of, okay, this is what it is. In the back of my mind, I feel like probably as a coach, it's maybe a little bit more in the back of your mind because you just know what it should be, you know. And I do feel for these kids because they're getting to play, and that's great, but it's not the full experience, you know. It's just not something that for seniors they're ever going to get back. You know, they're never going to get that sellout on a Friday night versus a league rival, you know, and that's unfortunate, but at the same time, it could be a heck of a lot worse. They're getting a chance to play basketball, which is most important.
Coach, I look forward to seeing the game tonight at Boardman and Harding, and best of luck to you tonight and throughout the regular season and into the tournaments.
Really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate what you guys do for high school sports. It's been awesome.
I appreciate it, Coach. Pat Birch, the head basketball coach of the Boardman Spartans, and it's a bizarre year. That's all there is to it. And you look at Boardman, and that gymnasium. Oh my God, does that gymnasium rock? When you've got a large amount of people, that gymnasium just rocks. And he's right. You look at the schedule that Boardman has had this year, you would be looking at a lot of those games in which the Spartans would be playing in front of a near capacity or a capacity crowd. And it just, okay, I understand at least we're playing basketball. I get that. I understand that, and I agree with that. At least the kids are getting an opportunity to play basketball. But my goodness, the mentally strong are going to be the ones that win these tournaments, because the reality is come tournament time when you're supposed to have that unbelievable level of excitement, it's not going to be there. It isn't going to be there because your crowd isn't going to be there. You can't have a tournament feel without a large amount of people in your gym. You just can't. I mean, you can sit back and say, okay, this is a one loss and you're done type of format. You can say that and you can play like that, but you're not going to get that atmosphere without a large crowd. And unfortunately, you're just not going to get that atmosphere because you're not going to have the large crowds. And that's the damn shame of it all, is the fact that we're not going to have large crowds in any of these tournaments. And yes, I get it. We're going to be playing basketball, and that at the end of the day, that's all that should matter is the fact that we're going to be playing basketball. And I understand that, and I tend to agree with that. But this is where the mentally strong are going to wind up winning the tournaments. You can have talent, and you're going to have talent, but one of the other ingredients that you will need to have, one of the intangibles that you will most definitely need in order to win a district and go to the regionals, you are going to have to be mentally strong to win this tournament in this environment or lack thereof. It's one thing to play a game of basketball in front of 3,000 fans and the joint is jumping and you, as Coach Birch said, the hair on the back of your neck stands up. Easy to play those type of games. It is. It's easy to play those type of games. You ask any minor league or professional baseball player that has ever experienced playing in front of a large crowd and then playing in front of absolutely nobody. And I got a little bit of experience in this because, well, I broadcast games for 6 years in a ballpark in which the area couldn't care less about minor league baseball, which is probably the reason why Jackson no longer has minor league baseball. If you don't have an atmosphere, if you don't have a really good atmosphere, you're not going to be able you're not going to be able to get jacked up nearly as much or nearly as easy. If you're playing in front of nobody night after night after night after night, it wears on you. It really wears on you. And I think that the fact that you haven't been able to play in front of a really large crowd all year long, yeah, the kids are getting used to it. But it's one of those situations now where you're really going to have to play some serious basketball, and you're going to have to be mentally strong as well in order to survive in the tournament. Speaking of tournaments, Valley Christian will be in the tournament. They're Division IV. And joining me on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, the head basketball coach at Valley Christian, Dolph Carroll. Coach, how are you today, sir?
Absolutely fabulous. Thanks for having me on, and I apologize for missing last time. It's just been one of those years.
Listen, it's okay. I mean, you have other things to do, and we're not going to keep you from those other things.
Well, I appreciate it.
Coach, I got to ask you, when the Valley Christian joined the Eastern Ohio Athletic Conference, I had said that this was going to benefit everyone involved. How true has that been?
I can only speak from my perspective in our end, and it's been the greatest thing we've done. We're finally in a conference with great people, great teams, but yet we can compete in all the athletics and sports that we provide our kids. In the past, we've been in a couple of conferences that, maybe didn't compete quite as well. A lot bigger conferences, and so now finally we're in a great conference with great people and virtually almost identical size schools.
The conference itself has so much potential because you take a look at some programs that are slowly but surely starting to get it together again, Letonia being one. And then you have Columbiana that they lost an awful lot of seniors last year, but they're going to be heard from again pretty soon. East Palestine has had a really, really tough year because of COVID. United is starting to get themselves together again. Wellsville, Southern, Lisbon, they're solid programs. And the addition of Valley Christian, I really believe that when everyone starts playing quality basketball, and it's going to happen pretty soon, this is going to be a premier conference, small school conference in northeastern Ohio. Not just in basketball, I think in football as well. I think Valley Christian, the addition of Valley Christian, made the EOAC a much, much better conference all the way around.
Well, I don't know about that, but I appreciate those kind words. We're just thrilled to be in it, and I agree with you. I think it's going to be a great small division conference. I think we're going to be a lot of people are going to be good, and it's going to be somebody's going to be good consistently, and it's just going to start the ball rolling, and we'll be I think we can represent our area very, very well in all the tournaments, whether it be football, whether it be basketball, volleyball. I really do think that the conference is just going to continue to get better and better.
Yeah, and in a normal season, I think that, the breakdown, 5 Division IV schools, 3 Division III schools, and you play in this conference, it's going to prepare you for the tournament. Now, this hasn't been a normal year. This just in. COVID year has been really weird, to say the least. How hard has it been for you as a coach to coach kids with a mask on you?
Oh, I'm the worst mask guy, but it's horrible. And I'll pull it down when I really have to talk to them. But you also are very much aware of the distancing and trying to do the right things to make sure that the safety protocols are followed. So it's a little strange. I mean, and everybody's been through it. It's just not us. I mean, we were down for 3 weeks right before the season starts. I can't imagine how many game changes I've made for all the basketball teams, probably 40. And then we've got 7 games in the next 10 nights. So, I mean, it's adversity that you got to deal with and overcome. And, we're going to get out of this. Don't know when, but we'll get out of this. We just think we just got to persevere and trust God and keep going.
I got to ask you, and you guys are obviously playing 7 games in the next 10 nights. Game 1 in the books, you beat United last night, 41-37. You're hosting Wellsville tonight. If you're approached with an opportunity to get a bye into the sectional championship game, given the fact that you've played or you're going to play, knock on wood you do, 7 games in 10 days, are you going to take that bye and go right into the sectional title game?
I don't think so. I think what we're going to end up doing, because we played United Tuesday, then we had Southern last night, Wellsville tonight, then we've got 3 next week, and then we have 1 game scheduled on the 16th, and we still have another week before we actually get started in the tournament. So I think what we'll try to do is just survive, get through this 10-day stretch, and just kind of reevaluate, see what happens, and maybe instead of taking that long, I don't know. Sometimes I'll take a bye, sometimes I won't. Just kind of depends on what I think our team's doing the best. But because we haven't played as many games, my thought process is we need to keep playing games. And that's just going into it today. That could change on Sunday when we have the draw, but that's kind of the mental aspect, the mental thought process that we're going through.
Coach, how many games do you believe your team is going to have before you get into the tournament?
I think we'll have, if I can, I'm the worst at schedules and statistics. I think we're going to have 16, I believe. 15 or 16, if I can get the one more scheduled in there someplace.
Look, I mean, 15.
It's close. It's close.
Yeah, I mean, 15 on the minimum side of it. You should be able to go into the tournament with confidence if you can get 15 games in, because there's not really a bunch of difference between 15 and 22 at that point.
No, and I agree with you. And a lot of those games are played way in, early December, which at that point they really don't mean anything other than records. So, yeah, I think we're going to be okay down the stretch. I think the way that it's balanced out, we just got to pray that nobody gets hit again with COVID and we can finish our season.
You take a look at this tournament. You match up the Struthers District and the Grand Valley District, so a lot of Trumbull County teams, Badger, Bloomfield, Bristol, JFK, Brookfield. And you include the normal teams that you would see in the Struthers District, yourself, Lisbon, Heartland Christian, Jackson Milton, Leetonia, McDonald. There's some talented teams in this supersized district.
Oh, most definitely. There are a lot of good teams. And then again, we just got to see how it kind of breaks down and as we go into the voting process. This is new for us, this super region, which I'm going to go online and say I don't like it. I don't like hosting games. I think going to one site and creating a tournament atmosphere for these kids is one of the biggest things these kids look forward to. And I've never been a proponent of hosting games. To me, it's just having another game or traveling to another game, and it's not the tournament. I remember going to Struthers, and everybody goes, and it's a tournament, and you get a feel for it, and the kids get an understanding of what it's like to play in the tournament. And I'm beating a dead horse here, I know, but it's just supposed to be for the kids, and we end up with a super regional. Now teams can go one place or the other, but yet they're still going to end up going to the home sites. So, and I know it's COVID causes some of this, but hopefully eventually we can get back to going back to one site and having a true district tournament.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. And from a coaching aspect, I think one of the other reasons why it makes sense for everyone to be in the same building is for scouting purposes. I mean, unfortunately, every single game that is played on the particular day of game is going to be played at the exact same time. So you're not going to get an opportunity to do much scouting when your team is playing the exact same time as all the rest of the teams in your district.
No, you've got to kind of prepare and try to guess and try to get as many films as you can prior to this getting started. And you know what it also takes away, and why March Madness is so popular, because the underdogs have a chance to win. It's on a neutral site, and you never know. You got to come to play every night. Well, I think obviously the home team does have an advantage, and that's what I enjoy about it. It's the aspect of, hey, you got to come to play. There could be upsets in the tournament at one location. It's just fun. It's just been a blast, and hopefully before I get out of this, we can get it back to one district tournament.
Where do you expect Valley Christian to be when the seedings are announced on Sunday?
You know, I don't know. We were looking at it yesterday, and we had a tough time kind of deciding where are we going to fit. I don't know. I mean, like you said, there's a lot of very, very good teams, and you got to break down and look at who they played. You got to take some of that in consideration. You got to take the conference, what the other teams in the conference, who's kind of hot, who's on a roll. I don't know. I hope we're in the upper echelon. I would think that we would be, but I've thought that before and ended up in an 8 seed. So who knows?
Are you hanging on? Are you hanging on to your vote until tomorrow?
Well, everybody casted, and you're allowed to go back in and revisit. So I may go revisit on see who wins tonight, and maybe make some adjustments that way. We were talking about that as well yesterday. So we may do that. Again, depends on who kind of wins. We'll take a look at it and just kind of go from there. I don't think I think it's midnight tomorrow night that actually closes down.
Okay,
we'll vote on Sunday.
You guys picked up a victory last night against United. You go to 6-2 in the EOAC. Still very much alive for an EOAC championship in your first year. Is that going to be a goal on the way to finishing out the regular season, getting as many of these league games in as humanly possible?
Well, that's why we're playing the 7 and 10 nights. And actually, we played United on Tuesday. This is part of the change we made a week ago. We played United on Tuesday. Then last night we had Southern Local here. Then we've got Wellsville here. So we played, 3 really quality teams in 72 hours. So right now we're 8. I want to say 8-3 and 7-2, and I could be wrong.
Yeah, you beat Southern last night then.
Correct. We beat Southern last night, 53-45, I think.
Okay, so then you're 7-2 in the league, 8-3 overall.
Yes, I believe that is correct. And with Wellsville coming in tonight, and then we've got 3 more conference games, and that way we will have finished our entire conference schedule. Yeah,
I guess 14 games are needed to be played. So yeah, it'll be entertaining to say the least. Adolph Carroll, the head basketball coach at Valley Christian, joining me on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Before we let you go, obviously this has been a weird year in terms of coaches have to have masks on. Kids aren't playing basketball in front of a full stadium. Now it's a very small sized arena and not many fans. Is it one of these years where you're not only going to have to play really good basketball, but you're also going to have to be mentally sharp and mentally strong to get a district championship this year?
I would 100% agree with you on that one. I think that's going to be the biggest thing going into this is you've got to have a mental toughness about you that, yeah, you may not have a crowd, but you just got to stay focused on what you got to do, whether you're on the road or coming home. And yeah, it's been a long road for these kids. And then we keep reminding them, hey, look, be thankful we're playing. Be thankful we have an opportunity to do this. And pray for the safety of all the teams, so everybody stays healthy and we can get this season completed. So, yeah, I think, and honestly, I think all these teams, anybody that's been playing, it's more. This year's been more mental fatigue, more mental toughness is required. Just because they're enduring so much. I mean, some schools, we didn't get back into school until January 25th. So, I mean, it's just been you feel sorry for these kids, but yet they're so resilient. They're great kids, all of them that are competing at this level. It's amazing what they've accomplished, to be quite honest.
And the basketball, the basketball has not suffered this year. As a matter of fact, I think this is probably the best basketball that we've seen in quite some time, top to bottom in this area.
I would agree. I think everybody's pretty well evened out, and it makes it fun. I mean, and that's part of the what's fun about the EAOC is you got to come to play every night. Everybody knows who you are. You're playing for something. Everybody's pretty well leveled out as far as that. We've got great coaches in this league, and you know we've been very fortunate to pull some out, and we've been spanked a couple of times when we weren't ready to play. So. It's been a great league. It's been a great year so far.
Looking forward to seeing where you guys are seated and where your tournament trail begins. All the best to you, sir, and hopefully I get to see you guys play Leetonia next week at the Bears Den.
Yeah, I hope so. We are next week. I think I don't even know what day. That's either Tuesday or Wednesday. I think it's Tuesday. I think we're down there Tuesday.
Well, they're going to be coming off of quarantine, so they haven't played in a couple of weeks, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's tough. That's going to makes it really, really tough, and again, a lot of mental toughness. So
no question.
We'll certainly keep them in our prayers.
All right, Coach. All the best to you, sir.
Thank you so very much for having me.
You're very welcome. Dolph Carroll, the head basketball coach at Valley Christian. I like this team's chances in this tournament. There's a number of teams in this tournament that are going to be heard from. Obviously, at the top of the list is McDonald. I mean, they're going to be the 1 seed. I don't think there's any question about that. Warren JFK, given the fact that they were able to play with Struthers for about a half, 2.5 quarters. They're going to be an interesting school. I think Lisbon is one of those teams that if their trio of Brownfield and Sifke and McCullough, if they can get hot at the same time, they're going to be a very, very tough out. And there's some other teams in this tournament that Southern is pretty tough. Brookfield has played some good basketball. Now they got into a rut after their first loss to Crestview. They started losing some games, but they're certainly a team that can get after it. Heartland Christian is another team that can get after it. This is going to be a fun district, and like I mentioned, Sunday I'm going to be real curious where the teams in Division 4 are going to be seated and the matchups that are going to be followed by the seedings on Sunday. This is going to be entertaining, to say the least. All right, 330-886-0813, the MP Vivo heating and air conditioning hotline, open for business. We're going to take a time out and be back with more. It's a Friday edition of Running Points on ysnlive.com.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in the Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms, it just tastes better.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsuranceSolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Right now is a great time to get more for your trade-in at Tri-State Ford and drive home in a new or pre-owned vehicle. Choose from our great selection of new Ford models or pre-owned vehicles. Plus, get the Tri-State Ford Advantage, including a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty and more. At Tri-State Ford, we'll pay you top dollar for your trade, but you don't have to purchase one of ours to sell us yours.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
No matter what the weather, be prepared with a reliable, efficient Rude gas furnace or air conditioner from MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. Call your energy efficient expert, MP Vivo, today for a free estimate.
Here at MP Vivo, we rely on Rude, and so should you.
Myers Family Insurance knows the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
High-res Futurecast shows steady snow for the next few hours.
Still just downright cold.
It is bitter out there.
Several strong bands of lake effect snow.
Winds is kind of the big story today as well.
So if you need a more detailed winter forecast on WFMJ.com and the Storm Tracker 21 app.
I went to Greenwood Chevrolet because I was really interested in looking at the tracks.
Because I wanted my dream truck.
Because I've been going there for 20 years.
I'm really happy that I went
to Greenwood Chevrolet.
Because they really went
the extra mile for me.
Now we're going the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Welcome back to a Friday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline open for business, 330-886-0813. That's 330-886-0813. All right, we got a long list of games that we will have tonight on the network, so let's get to this, all right? 5 o'clock today at Heartland Christian. The Cheney girls will be playing Heartland Christian. That's a 5 o'clock start to, this afternoon in Columbiana. Cheney is at Heartland Christian. Boys basketball tonight, a 6:45 start. Hubbard will be at Struthers taking on the Struthers Wildcats. The rest of these games are going to be starting at 7 o'clock, give or take a few minutes. The JV games get underway at 5:30. Here are your 7 o'clock starts. Warren Harding is at Boardman. Ursuline at Cardinal Mooney. Actually, that is not going to be that's girls basketball. Ursuline is playing Cardinal Mooney at Cardinal Mooney. Girls basketball at 7 o'clock. Boys basketball, Brookfield is at Champion. Newton Falls at Crestview. Larry Scragg and I will be broadcasting that game. Claymont is at Edison. The Urban Scholars in Youngstown will take a trip to Columbiana to play Heartland Christian. That starts at 7 o'clock. Western Reserve is at Jackson Milton. United at Lisbon. McDonald at Mineral Ridge. Canton South visits Salem. Steubenville will take a journey northward as they take on South Range. Massillon, Washington will take a trip into Youngstown. They play Ursuline. Wellsville is at Valley Christian, and Carrollton will play at West Branch. All of those games will be starting somewhere in the vicinity of 7 o'clock this evening, and all of the games will be seen on ysnlive.com. If you are not interested in seeing any of the games, or if you want to check out Open Look, you can go to ysnlive.com. Mike Ackelson and the fellas will have all kinds of games. They'll be peeking in, hence the term Open Look, don't you know? Open Look presented by WRS Wealth Advisors. That is tonight and every Friday night during the high school basketball season, beginning at 7 o'clock on ysnlive.com. And again, the two games that will start prior to 7 o'clock, the Cheney girls will venture into Columbiana to take on Heartland Christian. That game will start at 5 o'clock. And then a boys basketball game that is set to start somewhere around 6:45 this evening. Hubbard goes to the field house as they take on the Struthers Wildcats. And we'll have that game for you, as well as all the other games on ysnlive.com. All right, 330-886-0813, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, open for business. Made mention last night, Valley Christian getting a victory over Southern, although the Vindicator today says United. That was earlier in the week. They actually played Southern last night, got a victory over the Indians. Cardinal Mooney 20 better than Howland last night, 52-32. And a bunch of girls' games last night's the premier game, or the signature game, if you will, the Poland South Range game won by the Bulldogs. That was round one. Round two will take place next week at South Range High School. Poland knocking off South Range 45-35 last night. Struthers getting a victory over Lakeview 43-38. Girard won better than Hubbard 52-51. Western Reserve getting a 65-19 victory over Lowellville. Jackson Milton 20 better than Waterloo, 76-56. Mineral Ridge on top of Sebring, 49-33. Back in the NE8, Jefferson humbled Niles, 58-14. Had an opportunity to see the game in Crestview last night and broadcast this game. The Rebels knocked off Newton Falls 37-27 in a defensive struggle. Champion over Brookfield 39-29. That's just the second loss for the Brookfield Warriors. Second league loss as well. Columbiana knocked off Wellsville 77-25. Bristol 6 better than Maplewood 41-25. Chalker knocked off Lordstown 66-40. Pie Valley 6 better than Matthews 35-29. East Palestine beat Leetonia last night down in East Palestine 59-46. So plenty of games on the network tonight, as I mentioned. You can tune in by going to ysnlive.com and then search out your favorite team, and voila, you can go. And unlike football season where you had to do a $9.99 pay-per-view, no pay-per-views this year, courtesy of WRS Wealth Advisors. So we want to thank them very much for giving you the opportunity to see games at no cost. Also, if you're looking to watch a really good show that's going to keep you updated all night long in terms of our all of our games in the area tonight, look no further than Open Look. Mike Ackelson and the fellas here in studio will most definitely get you updated and get you all set for basketball tonight. WRS Wealth Advisors sponsoring Open Look tonight on ysnlive.com. All right, 330-886-0813, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline open for business. We do have the Super Bowl coming up on Sunday. I know Mr. Football called in earlier today. I really like Tampa and the under in this game. Even though the weather is going to be a lot better. The weather was supposed to be crappy for the Super Bowl. It was supposed to be rain, thunderstorms. That has been changed. The weather is supposed to be rain early and then sunshine in the day and clear skies for Sunday night. Now, a lot of folks would look at this and say, "Wow, this should be a high-scoring affair." The over/under in this game is 56. I believe Tampa Bay wins this game outright. And I say this because Tampa Bay has something that no other team Kansas City played in the playoffs has. Cleveland did to a degree, but Cleveland also played Kansas City when their left tackle was healthy. So Myles Garrett really wasn't that much of a difference maker. Kansas City lost their left tackle in the Buffalo game. And their right tackle isn't Mitchell Schwartz. It's Schwartz's backup. So essentially, Kansas City has backup tackles. That's a recipe for disaster against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has some really good bookend pass rushers. And I expect Mahomes to get harassed all night long. I expect Tampa Bay to win this game outright. Right now, the line is Tampa Bay +3. I like the Buccaneers outright. So I think that the money line is probably the way to venture in on this one. I like Tampa Bay +3, and I think Tampa Bay wins this game outright. And in order to do so, it's going to have to be a low-scoring game. You can't get into a track meet with Kansas City and expect to win. So even though Brady is a relatively good quarterback, he struggled this postseason. I expect Leonard Fournette to be getting an awful lot of carries in this game. And I think that Tampa Bay is going to have control of time of possession, courtesy of Leonard Fournette. I think that Tampa Bay has a productive night offensively, and I'm going to say they beat Kansas City 27-24, 24-21, somewhere in that realm. And it's going to be under 56 points. I think Tampa Bay wins, and I think that it'll go under. So, honestly, I would have Tampa Bay on the money line, but if you're going to give me three, a two-team parlay, which really isn't a second team, but you take Tampa Bay plus the 3 and you take the under, you got a pretty solid chance of winning that. All right, 330-886-0813, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline open for business. Coming up at the top of the hour, we will hear from the head basketball coach of the Ursuline Irish, Keith Gunther. The Ursuline Irish will be in a loaded field, if you will, a field that is in Division II that is going to be very, very impressive, to say the least. Let me run down this supersized field for everyone, because this is impressive. Here's your Division II combined district, Northeast 1 and Northeast 2 combining into one district. Canfield, Canton South, Chagrin Falls, Cheney, Chardon, East, Edgewood, Field, Geneva, Girard, Howland, Hubbard, Lakeview, Louisville, Marlington, Niles, Notre Dame Cathedral Latin, Perry, Poland, Ravenna, Salem, Streetsboro, Struthers, Ursuline, West Branch, West Geauga. There are a number of teams, and this is I want to say this is a 25 or a 26 team tournament. And it'll be divided into two different brackets. This is a loaded, absolutely loaded D2 field. And I'll be really curious to see where Ursuline is in all of this. There's a number of teams in this particular district that I'm going to be quite curious to see. I think whoever wins the two districts, you're going to have to play some really impressive basketball to win one of these two districts. You're just going to have to play some really impressive basketball. We'll hear from Keith Gunther, the head basketball coach at Ursuline. We'll get his take on this tournament. We'll get his take on his season and just how bizarre this COVID year has been at Ursuline High School. I know Ursuline has, unfortunately, they have had some issues with COVID. So we'll catch up with Coach Gunther, and we'll get his take on that and more. That's coming up in a bit. Stick around. More of a Friday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Back with the head basketball coach of the Ursuline Irish, Keith Gunther.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Hi, this is Jim Myers with Myers Family Insurance, your local Medicare and retirement resource. We're excited to have sports back. Whether you're on the field or cheering from the stands, sports unifies communities and brings hope for the future. We're all one team working together. At Myers Family Insurance, we know the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Baird Brothers remains your source for fine hardwood products. For the time being, we're open for customer pickup only on weekdays 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Saturday from 9 a.m. till noon. Place your order online at BairdBrothers.com. Baird Brothers, for the place you love.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
The 4M Company, being an architect and construction manager for over 40 years, has had the opportunity to use many different electrical businesses for our projects. The depth, quality, and knowledge and attention to detail displayed by Dickey Electric makes them stand out above all the rest.
For state-of-the-art expertise and a timeless commitment to our customers, contact Joe Dickey Electric. We are everything electrical.
I went to Greenwood Chevrolet because I was really interested in looking at the tracks.
Because I wanted my dream truck.
Because I've been going there for 20 years. I think whenever we go there, whatever car we're looking for, they have tremendous inventory.
If you're looking for people who care about you, Greenwood is the place to go.
You know, it's like family there. The girls know me in service. It's Miss Kim in the Tahoe.
I'm really happy that I went
To Greenwood Chevrolet.
Because they really went
the extra mile for me.
Now we're going the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Local teams are heating up the hardwoods, and you can keep up with all the action on and off the court with Five Guys Hoop News all season long on 21 Sports.
No matter what the weather, be prepared with a reliable, efficient Rue gas furnace or air conditioner from MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. Call your energy efficient expert, MP Vivo, today for a free estimate.
Here at MP Vivo, we rely on Rude, and so should you.
Myers Family Insurance knows the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
High-res Futurecast shows steady snow for the next few hours.
Still just downright cold.
It is bitter out there.
Several strong bands of lake effect snow.
Winds is kind of the big story today as well.
So if you need a more detailed winter forecast on WFMJ.com and the Storm Tracker 21 app.
I went to Greenwood Chevrolet because I was really interested in looking at the tracks.
Because I wanted my dream truck.
Because I've been going there for 20 years.
I'm really happy that I went
To Greenwood Chevrolet.
Because they really went
the extra mile for me.
Now we're going the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Welcome back to a Friday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com. Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business, 330-886-0813. That's 330-886-0813. With you till 3 o'clock, awaiting the head basketball coach of the Ursuline Irish, Keith Gunther. Tried getting him a call and just wasn't able to connect with him. So hopefully we will get a hold of the head basketball coach of the Ursuline Irish, Keith Gunther. Ursuline in action tonight. They will be hosting Massillon, Washington at Ursuline High School in a game that can be seen tonight on ysnlive.com. And that game will also be seriously looked at as well on Open Look, which you'll be able to see tonight if you go to ysnlive.com. ysnlive.com, excuse me. It gets underway at 7 o'clock tonight. Mike Ackelson and the boys here at headquarters in East Palestine will have a look-in on all of the games that are going to be scheduled tonight on the network. Should be an entertaining night of basketball, as I personally will be in Crestview, peering in on the Crestview game with Newton Falls that will be coming up tonight. Larry Scragg and I will have the story from Crestview High School tonight as the Rebels get set to take on the Newton Falls Tigers. By the way, speaking of Newton Falls, many, many thanks to the head basketball coach, the girls coach over at Newton Falls, Mark Baker. Mark Baker, we had him on yesterday, and he said that he would get me a Newton Falls shirt. Now, sometimes when people say that, they're joking around. Oh no, before the players were introduced by Mr. B, Coach Baker sought me out and went into the stands and got me a shirt. Beautiful, beautiful shirt, which I will most definitely wear next week. Once I get it washed, I will most definitely wear that shirt proudly. It's an absolutely gorgeous Newton Falls Tigers T-shirt. So I got some Newton Falls swag that I'll be wearing. And no, this is a very weird habit of mine, and something that it's one of many things that are very, very bizarre about me. I will not wear a piece of clothing if you buy your pair of jeans, or you buy a sweatshirt, or you're given a shirt and it's it's a new shirt. And I'm not wearing any of that stuff until it's washed. That's just me. I will not wear anything given to me until I have put it in the washing machine and into the dryer. That's just, it makes me weird. I get it. I understand that. And maybe I'm not the only one that does that. But if I purchase something, or if I'm given something, I don't wear that bad boy until I have washed it and put it in the dryer. Just won't. All right, 330-886-0813. Ursuline head basketball coach Keith Gunther coming up in just a bit. Stick around. More Running Point, the Friday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. We'll catch up with Coach Gunther coming up in a bit.
No matter what the weather, be prepared with a reliable, efficient Rue gas furnace or air conditioner from MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. Call your energy efficient expert, MP Vivo, today for a free estimate.
Here at MP Vivo, we rely on Rude, and so should you.
Myers Family Insurance knows the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
High-res Futurecast shows steady snow for the next few hours.
Still just downright cold.
It is bitter out there.
Strong bands of lake effect snow.
Winds is kind of the big story today as well.
So if you need a more detailed winter forecast on WFMJ.com and the Storm Tracker 21 app.
I went to Greenwood Chevrolet because I was really interested in looking at the tracks.
Because I wanted my dream truck.
Because I've been going there for 20 years.
I'm really happy that I went
to Greenwood Chevrolet.
Because they really went
the extra mile for me.
Now we're going the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms, it just tastes better.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Right now is a great time to get more for your trade-in at Tri-State Ford and drive home in a new or pre-owned vehicle. Choose from our great selection of new Ford models or pre-owned vehicles. Plus, get the Tri-State Ford Advantage, including a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty and more. At Tri-State Ford, we'll pay you top dollar for your trade, but you don't have to purchase one of ours to sell us yours.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
Welcome back to a Friday edition of Running Points presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. And joining me on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, the head basketball coach at Ursuline High School, Keith Gunther. Coach, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
I'm doing wonderful. Doing wonderful. You guys have quite the test tonight. Not that you don't have a test on a night-in, night-out basis with your schedule, but the schedule continues to get tough. You'll play a very good Massillon, Washington team tonight down on Wick Avenue.
Yeah, we're excited for it. We know Washington's a really good basketball team, and that's the reason we schedule it. What we try and do around tournament time is start trying to prep our team for the teams similar that we might face in the tournament, where it could be a Cheney, a Struthers, a Poland. So at the end of the year, we always try and get ourselves ready to go up against the best in the area. And if we can compete against Washington, that'll be a telltale sign of what we can do in the tournament.
It's bad enough that you see a Boardman district that is absolutely loaded. This year, the OHSAA decided to put two districts into one. Coach, this Division II district that Ursuline is in, my God, is it tough?
It is. It's tough. It's brutal. And, we're shocked at how they combine the two districts together. But at the end of the day, it boils down to who's tournament ready and, who's focused on getting the job done at hand. Now, in reality, if they hadn't combined it, our district was going to be tough anyway with, some of the teams in the area with Struthers, with Cheney, with Poland, with us, with West Branch. It was going to be a tough district anyway, but now when you combine some of the Cleveland schools, some of the Ashtabula area schools, it makes it even tougher. But like I told our team last week, I said, it doesn't matter if they combine them. You only have to play X amount of games. You only have to get X amount of wins to get to the district.
Where do you anticipate your team when it comes to the seeding? Do you look at Ursuline as a top 5 team in this really, really tough tournament?
I'd be disappointed if we weren't top 5. Here's the reality: we started out 0-3, and now we're 12-5. So, and this is what people need to recognize and realize: our first 3 games, we didn't have 2 key guys. We didn't have Jacqueline Irving and DeMarcus McElroy, which is 2 of our main guys. And we had been on COVID shut down for, a couple weeks before that. since then, if you look at who we played and you look at our record, we've really turned things around, and we're really playing well at tournament time. So, I mean, if teams want to base us on what we did early, that really has no focus on who we are now. And when I look at teams, I don't look at what they've done early. I look at teams at what they've done as of late. I think we should be a top 5 team. I think Cheney at 5-5 should be a top 5 team. You got to look at who they play. I mean, Struthers is probably going to be the one, and I think Poland deserves to be up there also. I mean, if you look at those 4 to 5 teams and who we play, I really just don't think there's much of a comparison in schedule in some of the other teams. Some teams won't think of it that way. They'll just go by record, and that's not the case. I look at Cheney. Cheney has the toughest schedule compared to anybody in that district. They're 5-5. I'll be honest with you, they could be anywhere from 1, 2, 3. It's not fair if they get voted 10, 8. It's just not fair because you have to look at who they played. You have to look at who we played.
Well, and you take a look at the amount of games that Cheney has played, and obviously they got shut down until January, both Cheney and East. You guys have been shut down for a little bit. In a normal basketball season, we're looking at 22 games. Are you guys going to get to 22, or are you going to be short this year?
We're not going to be short as long as we stay healthy and we don't get shut down. We're going to get to 22. We have 17 in, and we got 5 scheduled, and the 5 that we have scheduled are pretty good basketball teams. So, if we will get to 22, everybody won't have that capability, but we do. So we will definitely get 22 in. There's no way Cheney's going to be able to get 22 in. But the reality of it is, we played Cheney. It was a 5-point game because of some things that we did in the fourth quarter. But in reality, I know how good they are. And people who really know basketball and coaches who know basketball, they know how good Cheney is. They know how good Struthers is. They know how good Poland is. And people who know Ursuline basketball and they've watched us play, they know in reality how good we can be and how good we are.
One of the things I absolutely love about Ursuline, you guys are not afraid to schedule anybody. You'll challenge your kids with a brutal schedule, and I love what you guys do toward the end of the season. You'll start scheduling teams that are really close and similar to some of the schools that you might see on the tournament trail in Division II.
And there's no question about it. That's why we scheduled Boardman. That's why we have Washington. We have Cheney next Friday. We have East on Tuesday. So, those are 4 teams, and, 2 of those teams are in our district. And with playing Washington, a very athletic team, and then with playing Boardman, a team that we feel is similar to a couple other teams in the district, we feel like we'll be tournament ready. The smart thing is that a lot of coaches always schedule to play against to maybe get some wins on their record. It was funny. I was talking to our athletic director the other day, and he asked me how many wins I have in my 17 years coaching career, and I said I have no idea because that's not what's important to me. I said what's important to me is how many district titles we win, how many regional finals we get to. That's the most important thing to me. It's not about how many records I can chalk up for my coaching career. It's about just getting my team tournament prepped.
Let's talk about your team. As you mentioned, you got off to a slow start. Things have gotten along much, much better. Let's talk about some of the kids on this team that have been the difference makers.
Of course, Terrence Pankey, our sophomore, has probably been our most consistent player. Brady Shannon, our big guy who can knock down threes, who can post up, who's just a huge force down low for us. We have Jacqueline Irving, our point guard, who's really come back after being shut down early on and really led our team defensively and offensively. We have DeMarcus McElroy, who can really shoot the 3 ball and is a great defender. As of late, we've had a couple guys that have really stepped up and knocked down shots for us. Vince Filato in the last couple games has really been shooting the lights out. Tyler Beck has been shooting the lights out. Will Burney's been coming off the bench playing great for us. It's just been a really positive turnaround to see the growth of a young group of guys. That's what people don't realize. If you look, we're playing 4 sophomores, we're playing 4 juniors, and 2 seniors. So in reality, I mean, I tell our kids we don't want to wait till next year or the year after. You never would know what's going to happen. I want to be good now. I want to win now, and that's our focus for this year.
Yeah, a relatively young team, and the scary part of it is 8 of those 10 kids that you just mentioned are going to be back playing basketball, and that should be sending shivers down everyone's spine in this district.
Yeah, and that's a great thing from a coaching standpoint to know that 90% of your guys are coming back. The scary thing is there's 2 freshmen that are coming up that are pretty good also. So, we're going to be talented not just this year. We're going to be talented here for the next couple of years, 3 or 4 years. And we just want to progress. My big thing is right now is to make sure that we are just basically locking teams down and making every possession frustrating for them when they're trying to score the ball. And if we can continue to do that, I think we'll have a lot of success, not only at the end of the season, but also in the tournament.
Coach, the culture of winning at Ursuline, it's always been a part of Ursuline High School, whether it be football, basketball, or some other sports. But, if to have the consistency that Ursuline has had, you set a high standard for your basketball program. That's one of the many things I admire about you as a coach. You're not afraid to tell a kid, if you don't reach my high standard, you're not going to have much of a future at Ursuline High School.
And that's reality. Sometimes being honest and being truthful, some people don't want to do that. They want to sugarcoat things, and I've never been that kind of guy. I've been straightforward with guys. I tell them like it is. I tell them what it takes to be successful, not just in basketball, but in life itself. And if, when some guys really, sometimes struggle with that, then they leave the program. But the guys that stay and the guys that are consistent are the guys that are usually successful throughout our program, and then years later come back and you see how your tough coaching is transferred into life experiences also.
Do a lot of those kids come back and sit in on some practices and try to tell the kids what they need to do?
The funny thing is they all come back. The funny thing that they say now is that I've really gotten soft, and I'm really nowhere near as tough as I used to be. And I can agree with that to an extent. I just think nowadays I can't be like I was 15 years ago. I don't think it would work. I talked to somebody about Coach Bob Knight, who's one of my favorite coaches of all time, and they asked me, "What do you think happened?" I said, "I don't think he adjusted." And with life, you have to be able to adjust, and you have to be able to adjust to kids. And I'm nowhere near as tough as I be, but I'm still tough, and we still push our kids to a higher level. And they do. They come back and they talk to the kids. They text the kids and they let them know what it takes to play in our program. And that's a positive for me. There's sometimes I'll reach out to like DeAndre Brown and Mark Hughes and some guys that have been big time in our program and have them reach out to a kid and they'll chat with them and talk to them and try to get them to understand what it takes to play at a high level basketball.
Okay, now you have my curiosity piqued. Give me an example of something that you would have done 15, 20 years ago that you're not going to be able to do today.
If we didn't play well 15, 20 years ago, we would come in at 4:30 and just run. That was all we would do. If we didn't play hard and we didn't play to my level of expectations, we would come in at 4:30, 5 o'clock and just run until about 7:30. And I'll be honest with you, most of the times the problem got fixed. I just don't think that would fly today. I just don't. I just don't think that tactic with the way our generation of children are today would fly. I don't know if I'd have a basketball team, to be honest with you. I just don't know. I haven't tried it as of late, but I try other ways to motivate and other ways to push and get out of them what I need to, and is getting older as a person too, and getting more mature. I just don't want to run kids into the ground anymore like we used to try and get their attention. If we do something harsh in practice, it's harsh with a basketball, it's harsh with a shooting drill, it's harsh with a defensive drill, not just total running. So as much as I want to say that, it's an adjustment for the kids, it's an adjustment as me as a coach to to maybe mature and also say, okay, maybe this isn't the way to handle it. Maybe let's go a different route and see if we can get it to work this way also.
I had a basketball coach, and he gave us an interesting running drill, 6-3-1, where you would run around the gym behind the end lines and behind the baseline. You were not allowed to go inside the baseline or inside the end line and onto the court. You had to do this away from the court, out of bounds. And anyone that went inside the line or stepped on the line, you had to start the drill all over again. You would run for 6 minutes. You'd run for 6 minutes. He'd blow a whistle. You would walk for 1 minute. Then he'd blow another whistle. You're running for 3 minutes. And then he blew the whistle. You'd walk for a minute. And then he blew the whistle, and you had to sprint as hard as you could around the gym. Don't touch the line or don't go inside the line or you start this whole damn thing all over again. Right, and I swear to you, by the time that was done with, you were locked in, paid so close attention to the coach, and whatever you thought about doing to step on a line or come close to trying to push the coach's buttons, you didn't want to do that anymore after running one of those things.
Yep, that's the old school mentality, and it's just the way it was. And it's funny that you never even questioned it as a kid. When I played, you never questioned whatever the coach said you did. And, if you went home and whined about it, your parents didn't want to hear about it. It's like, hey, listen to the coach and keep doing what he's telling you to do. So, that's just old school mentality. We have to be a little bit different if we want to have success nowadays. And, my biggest thing is just trying to get kids to understand why we do what we do and to get them to understand why we want them to play hard, why we want them to be coachable. And, like I said, at the end of the day, for me, it's not just about basketball. We've got so many success stories that have come out of Ursuline High School where kids have come to our program, come from some pretty tough environments and leave our place and get their college education, get the opportunity to play college sports and come back and just get to say thank you. And that makes it all worth it when the kids come back and say, thanks, Coach, I appreciate what you did for me.
Keith Gunther, the head basketball coach at Ursuline High School, joining me on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Coach, how important is basketball in the classroom? And what I mean by that is getting the kids off the floor into the locker room and going through some of the defensive strategies, going through some of the offense that you have and putting it on the blackboard and seeing if the kids know where everything is. How important is that to you as a coach?
I think that's majorly important. I think one of the biggest things for me is getting kids to understand why you're doing what you're doing. Not just running to a spot, but what's the point of you getting to that spot? What's the point of you setting the screen? And, not only on the blackboard, but I think when they can actually watch film, that's when I think they can really get a real glimpse of what they're doing right and why it works. And if you didn't do it right, why it didn't work. I think we watch a ton of film. We watch film of ourselves. We watch film of our opponent. And then we get on the board and we draw up some things and do some things, for them to get educated as far as basketball itself. But I think the film room is the biggest educator for us. It really is, because, a kid will tell you in a game, I didn't do that. Well, the film don't lie. I could draw something up on the blackboard and they can say, well, this. But when I show you on film, you actually have to look at yourself of what you did right or what you did wrong. And then there's no argument. So you get to see yourself live in what you're doing. So I think film is huge. One of the biggest things I think that I've changed is psychologically getting kids to understand how good they can be. Positive reinforcement, sending them messages, sending them videos to watch, sending them things to take their mind to another level. I think that's probably been one of my biggest assets the last 5 years is the mind part of sports, not just the physical part, the mind, and getting them to understand how good they can be.
I remember very early in my broadcasting career going inside Cardinal Mooney's locker room during football season, and this was Don Butchie in his heyday. Don Butchie had that locker room dead silent for 10 or 15 minutes, And I asked Coach, I said, what's this about? And he goes, they're all visualizing what they're going to do on the field tonight. And it's just a powerful lesson. How many coaches, and I can probably count on one hand the amount of coaches in basketball that would have their kids go into the locker room in the fourth quarter when varsity kids normally go in the locker room and have that locker room be dead silent the entire fourth quarter. And you tell your kids, I want you to visualize what you're doing. You're not going to make a damn sound. I want you to visualize what you are going to do, and then we'll start talking about what we're going to do. But I want you to visualize it for 5, 10, 15 minutes.
Yep, and guys who understand the mental psyche of sports are the guys who really get their kids to the next level, because so much of it, we could talk about the physical aspect of sports and basketball you want to, but if they don't have the mental, the vision, and then you just can't get to the next level without that. You could be good, but you just can't really excel to that next level until you get the mental part of it. And like I said, that's one of the biggest things for us, is just trying to get our guys to understand the how good they can be, visualizing themselves being successful. I mean, that's just a major part of basketball for us nowadays.
How tough has it been mentally and physically for the team in this COVID year, and for you personally, putting a mask on and trying to teach your kids through this mask, wearing a mask? How tough has it been for your team physically and mentally?
It's tough. It is, but here's the reality. When things in life happen, you have to be able to adjust. Our biggest thing is we got to practice differently. We got to keep the kids separated. We got to make sure we're 6 feet apart. We got to make sure nobody's in a space with anybody for more than 20 minutes straight. So that's the biggest adjustment for us is practice. Like sometimes we don't let the JVs practice with the varsity, because if a JV kid gets it, then we have to worry about a varsity getting shut down. So that's the biggest adjustment. I've adjusted with the mask. I pull it down, I yell, I put it back up. So, it's as tough as it is. It's just part of the adjustment that we have to do if we want to continue to play. I had some guys complaining early on and saying, well, I don't like this. I'm like, listen, do you want to play? Then this is what we have to do. And if we want to play, we have to make the adjustments. It's not just about us. It's important. And the other thing I think people miss, it's not just important for our kids. Our kids got to go home to families. So they have to go home to their parents. They have to go home to their grandparents. And we don't just want our kids to be safe. We want their families to be safe. And that's the most important thing at the end of the day.
Coach, before I let you go, a couple more things, and we're chatting with the head basketball coach of the Ursuline Irish, Keith Gunther, on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Are there a couple of things that are currently being done in practice right now because of COVID that you're looking at and saying, you know what, even when COVID is done, even when we have everyone vaccinated, I'm still going to want to do a couple of these things that we were forced into doing because of COVID?
For us, I would say the only thing that might be that we might consistently do that is we've done a lot more over the phone or online stuff because when we were shut down or you get shut down, then you have to still be able to motivate kids when you're shut down. So those 2 time periods that we were shut down, we sent out a lot of motivational videos, a lot of videos for them to watch how collegiate basketball players play, how collegiate basketball players work out. That's one of the main things that we will continue to do because you couldn't have face-to-face contact. You couldn't get on the court when we were shut down, and that's what we had to do in order to keep them motivated. The other thing when we were shut down that I will continue to do is that when we got shut down, we got our guys with individual trainers because the kids that didn't test positive, I mean, they were at home doing nothing. So what we did was we got them trainers set up, individual trainers to keep that conditioning going, keep that strength training going, and keep their basketball endurance and focus on track. So those are the 2 things that we will continue to do, even though when COVID's over.
All right, before we let you go, one final thing, and it's something that I absolutely love about your team. I mentioned this earlier in the interview, the importance of scheduling up and the importance of challenging your kids and your program in multi-purpose aspect of it, the biggest of which is to get everyone tournament ready. But there are plenty of reasons why you want to challenge your kids with a demanding schedule. I'm going to let you have the floor on this one and give your thoughts on this.
The biggest thing is you want to see if your kids can play at a higher level, because if you're fortunate enough to win the district, you automatically know you're going to have to play against the big dogs from Cleveland. You're going to have to play against the big dogs from Akron. And if you were fortunate to get to Columbus, you're going to have to play against Cleveland, Cincinnati, Columbus, one of those areas. So you might as well prep your team and have them ready, because my goal every year is to get to Columbus. Have I gotten there? No, we've been close 2 or 3 times. And I've always felt that even when we got to the regional and the regional final, I always felt like we were prepped and we were ready, because we had seen the same caliber of competition that we would see at the regional that we would see in Columbus. So my number one goal every year is to get to Columbus. So, if my number one goal is to get to Columbus, then I need to have my team prepped to get to Columbus, and that means on your regular season schedule to play some teams that are or at least similar to some teams that you would see in a regional or that you would see in Columbus. So that's always our goal, and that's always why we prep our schedule for the tournament run.
Do you think the 2 teams that get out of this supersized district are going to be prepped in a way no other supersized district is going to prep them? Because honest to God, I'm looking at this list top to bottom. I can make a serious argument for 8 to 10 teams to make a run and get a district championship under their belt or play for a district championship. There is an insane amount of talent in this tournament.
Oh, it's unbelievable, and I think they will be prepped, no question about it, to have a chance to win the regional. Though I'll be honest with you, though, there is one team that stands out when we get to the regional, and St. V's. I've watched them play 3 times this year. They're very talented. They're very good. Have I seen anybody that I think that is on that level right now? No, but I tell anybody on any given night that you have the capabilities, if you get to that point, to beat any team. I watched probably 5 or 6 years ago where St. V's just had an awful shooting night and ended up losing it to a team there's no way they should have lost to. And so I think anybody that gets to that regional advancement will have a chance to beat anybody there. I think the team that comes out of the super district, is no question about it. I think if it's one of the teams that I think it should be, they'll be tournament ready. Most of the teams that I'm thinking have played a tough enough schedule throughout the season that if they get there, they're going to have a great chance to possibly win the region.
Coach, best of luck to you tonight and through the rest of the season.
All right. Thank you.
You got it. Keith Gunther, the head basketball coach of the Ursuline Irish, joining me on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. And oh boy, they've got an interesting road ahead of them for sure. They'll be taking on Massillon, Washington tonight, and then they're going to still play Cheney. They still got East. Yeah, this is going to be crazy. By the way, in Division 2, the Northeast 1 and Northeast 2, they will not be playing each other into the Division 2 regionals. They won't be playing each other. They'll be playing 1 plays Northeast 3, and 2 will play Northeast 4. Division 3 is the same way. 2 will play Northeast 4. 3 will play Northeast 1. The only region, or actually in Division 4, it's going to be different as well. Northeast 2 will be playing the Willard District, and Northeast 3 will be playing Northeast 1. So the 2 teams that come out of the supersized districts in D1, or D2, D3, and D4, they will be playing. They'll be playing someone else in the regional tournament. Same thing in Division 1. Division 1, Northeast 1 will play Northeast 3. Northeast 2 will play Northeast 4 in Region 2. So you won't see the other district champion in your bracket in the first round of the regionals. You might see them in the regional championship game, which would be cool. But you won't see them in the regional tournament. So whoever comes out of Division 2, let's say that Struthers is the 1 seed, and if Coach Gunther is correct, and let's say Ursuline is in the top 5, and they win one district and Struthers wins the other district, well, they wouldn't see each other in the regional semifinals. They would be playing other separate teams in the regional semifinals. But yeah, keep an eye on D2. D2 and D1 are insanely loaded. Not that D3 and D4 aren't. They are. But D2 and D1 especially. Good night. Those divisions are going to be incredibly difficult. All right, we'll take a timeout, be back with more. It's a Friday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown.
WRS Wealth Advisors is the area's premier wealth and retirement specialist. With our combined 70 years experience and comprehensive wealth strategy, we assist our clients attain their goals. Call 330-965-0370 to learn more about our individual and corporate financial planning services, or visit WRSWealthAdvisors.com. Good luck, athletes!
Hi everyone, this is DJ Yoakley with Your Sports Network. We appreciate your support of YSN and welcome you to the YSN family. Our broadcast streams are brought to you live at no cost to you by sponsors that are local to this community. Without the vision and generosity of our sponsors and partners, we would not be able to bring this game to you today. So please support the great businesses and leaders that are making this game possible. And if you're a business in need of great advertising and sponsorship opportunities, feel free to head over to our site for more information on the right fit for you. We are local, we are loyal, and we are live. We are YSN.
Ah, the details. Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods is one fine ride. Perfect cornering, superb handling, sporty and stylish, power to spare, plus awesome mileage. Yeah, jaw-droppingly beautiful lines and well appointed with luxurious trim. Put more oomph in your life and start beholding the molding. Find your home's fine hardwood at BairdBrothers.com.
For heating, cooling, and indoor air quality, the Mahoning Valley trusts MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning, offering worry-free repair, service, and installation. Call MP Vivo today for a free estimate.
MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. We're your energy-efficient experts.
News doesn't stop after the sun goes down. Sometimes you just have to hustle to get it. At 21 News, no matter how far it is, no matter what it takes to get there, we're working to bring you the best stories and the freshest content at 11 p.m. with the context and clarity that makes it worth staying up for, no matter what time it is. 21 News at 11 with me, Aaron Simonek, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 11, news that's worth your time.
Welcome back to a Friday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Here's your list of games on the network tonight. Girls basketball from Columbiana. Heartland Christian will be hosting Cheney. That game is going to be played at Heartland Christian, the old Columbiana High School. In Columbiana. That is a 5 o'clock start. Boys basketball tonight from the iconic Struthers Fieldhouse. Hubbard will be going to Struthers to take on the Wildcats. All of the rest of the games are going to be at 7 o'clock. Boys basketball, Harding visits Boardman. Brookfield is at Champion. Newton Falls at Crestview. Claymont at Edison. Urban Scholars will visit Heartland Christian. Western Reserve is at Jackson Milton. United at Lisbon, McDonald at Mineral Ridge. Canton South pays a visit to Salem. Steubenville will travel north as they take on South Range. It'll be Massillon visiting Ursuline. Wellsville goes to Youngstown to take on Valley Christian, and Carrollton is at West Branch. One girls game, Ursuline will travel to the south side of Youngstown as they take on their parochial brethren, Cardinal Mooney. The Holy War, Part 2, Ursuline traveling to Cardinal Mooney High School to take on Cardinal Mooney, and that should be a heck of a good basketball game tonight from Cardinal Mooney High School, girls basketball. All of those games will be starting somewhere around 7 o'clock, and again, keep in mind, you can go to ysnlive.com and see all of that action, and it's free. You don't have to pay a pay-per-view price, courtesy of WRS Wealth Advisors. If you are just looking to watch Open Look, you can do that as well. WRS Wealth Advisors sponsoring Open Look. Mike Ackelson and the boys here at headquarters in East Palestine, they will keep you abreast of all the games, including the game I'm planning on broadcasting tonight. Newton Falls at Crestview. We'll have that game for you tonight, and I'm sure that it will be one of those games that we look in. And Mike Ackelson and the fellas will be here in headquarters having all kinds of fun with that. WRS Wealth Advisors, the sponsor of Open Look, tonight at 7 o'clock on ysnlive.com. 330-886-0813, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business. Coming up on Sunday, we made mention of this. Sunday is the day where the tournament draw and the seeds and the whole 9 yards, they're going to be announced for the boys basketball. The boys basketball tournament will get underway 2 weeks from Monday. 2 weeks from Monday will be tournament week. So February the 22nd is tournament week, and the sectional tournaments will get underway. And again, keep in mind the two districts that have smashed into one district, you'll have anywhere from 26 to 32 teams in two districts, and it'll be a lot of fun. It will be an awful lot of fun, and there's going to be a lot of good basketball, solid basketball to be played starting in 2 weeks. When we get this bad boy started, 2 weeks from Monday will be the start of the sectional tournaments. You have 2 weeks tonight, actually 2 weeks from tomorrow night, which would be the 23rd. No, let me take that back. The 20th. I beg your pardon. The 20th. 2 weeks from tonight is the 19th. 2 weeks from Saturday is the 20th. The regular season for the boys ends on February the 20th. So you got 15 days to come up with however many games you're going to wind up playing. And I think Coach Gunther had said something to the point of Cheney has 10 games. There are 5 wins, 5 losses this year. They've played an insanely tough schedule. If in 2 weeks, if you wanted to play, let's say, 3 games a week for 2 weeks, that's 6 more games. You'd have 16 games in. You're tournament ready. Again, some teams, they're not going to be able to get the 16 games. Some teams may get less than 16 games. If you can get 15, you should be in pretty decent shape if you get 15 games in. I'll be curious to see how many teams actually get a full season, 22 games in. But make no mistake about it. I mean, we had Pat Birch on earlier today, Dolph Carroll from Valley Christian, Pat Birch from Boardman, Keith Gunther from Ursuline. They've all said it. I mean, it's been a bizarre year. It has been a very mentally tough year. From the scheduling, which has been borderline crazy. Oh, you're ready for one team, and then all of a sudden you're not playing that team because they got a COVID situation going on. Now you got to schedule or try to schedule another team or put together a practice. And if your team is on the COVID list and you got to quarantine for a couple of weeks, well, what do? Do you get those kids mentally still in the game? Keith Gunther bringing up a really interesting point, saying, "Hey, if some of the kids that were 100% that don't have COVID, but they're part of the team, and we got shut down. No, I'm gonna have trainers get a hold of them and get them to do some exercises during this 2 weeks of quarantine. Get a basketball in their hand, do some dribbling drills in the house or whatnot, and stuff that you were normally wouldn't do in a normal basketball year that you're forced to doing because of COVID. This has been a really, really tough year in so many ways. And ultimately, yeah, you wanted your kids to play 22 regular season games and experience a tournament in which everyone's going to have or get an opportunity to play in front of sellout crowds. Well, you don't have any of that. The crowds are 15% of your gymnasium's capacity. So the crowd hasn't been there. You haven't had a tournament atmosphere, let alone a really great atmosphere in any gymnasium. And the coaches that get their kids on the bench to create the noise that you're not seeing or you're not hearing from the fans that aren't there, and the coaches that think outside the box, those are the coaches and the players that are going to ultimately get success come tournament time. It's not just going to be about who is the best basketball team on the floor. There's going to be a lot of intangibles that are going to play in who gets crowned district champions. There's going to be a lot of variables, a lot of intangibles. And I firmly believe the team that is the strongest mentally as well as basketball talent-wise, they're the ones that are going to celebrate a district championship. Come Monday, Anthony and I will break down the boys tournament like we did last week or this past Monday with the girls tournament. And oh, by the way, girls tournament is going to be phenomenal. I'm looking at the matchups, and we'll talk about the matchups all during the lead up time to the tournament. It's just going to be a blast. All right, we'll have some final thoughts coming up in just a bit, and then we'll turn it over to DJ and the boys for Power Hour coming up in just a bit. Stick around. We'll close up the show after this timeout.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Hi, this is Jim Myers with Myers Family Insurance, your local Medicare and retirement resource. We're excited to have sports back. Whether you're on the field or cheering from the stands, sports unifies communities and brings hope for the future. We're all one team working together. At Myers Family Insurance, we know the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Baird Brothers remains your source for fine hardwood products. For the time being, we're open for customer pickup only on weekdays, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Saturday from 9 a.m. till noon. Place your order online at bairdbrothers.com. Baird Brothers, for the place you love.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
The 4M Company, being an architect and construction manager for over 40 years, has had the opportunity to use many different electrical businesses for our projects. The depth, quality, and knowledge and attention to detail displayed by Dickey Electric makes them stand out above all the rest.
For state-of-the-art expertise and a timeless commitment to our customers, contact Joe Dickey Electric. We are everything electrical.
I went to Greenwood Chevrolet because I was really interested in looking at the tracks.
Because I wanted my dream truck.
Because I've been going there for 20 years. I think whenever we go there, whatever car we're looking for, they have tremendous inventory.
If you're looking for people who care about you, Greenwood is a place to go.
You know, it's like family there. The girls know me in service. It's Miss Kim in the Tahoe.
I'm really happy that I went to Greenwood Chevrolet.
Because they really went
the extra mile for me.
Now we're going the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Local teams are heating up the hardwoods, and you can keep up with all the action on and off the court with Five Guys Hoop News all season long on 21 Sports.
That'll do it for a Friday edition of Running Points. Plenty of basketball on the network tonight. Check out Open Look beginning at 7 o'clock, courtesy of WRS Wealth Advisors. Before we turn it over to DJ and the fellas with the Power Hour, former Cleveland Indian Trevor Bauer will sign a contract with the Los Angeles Dodgers. So the Dodgers, let me see if I can do this correctly, they win the Trevor Bauer sweepstakes. He's had one good year, and he thinks he's an elite pitcher. Stop that. Oh, Lord. Good luck, L.A. You'll need it. He's quirky, to say the least. All right, DJ and the fellas coming up in a bit with Power Hour. Have a great weekend. We'll talk on Monday on Running